The Ari's empire impresses with its beauty, as if nurtured by the gods themselves. Its majesty and power are felt in every detail, from the mighty walls to the finest patterns on the flags proudly flying over the city. In the heart of Disha stands a monument that attracts the eye with its unique beauty. It seems to freeze time around, forcing every passerby to stop and admire. The two guards slowly make their way through the city, exchanging news and scrutinizing the surroundings. You can hear anxiety in their voices because the calm that reigns around seems suspicious to them. The guard's armor shines under the sun's rays, as if cast from pure iron. The face of one of them resembles a brick, testifying to numerous battles and unwavering dedication to his work. The conversation of the guard suddenly changes. They are discussing the potential threat of an attack. One of them cannot hide his concern. His reaction to his friend's words goes from anxiety to almost panicked excitement. One of the guards, with a calm expression on his face, turns to his comrade. His voice is confident, as he assures that the city is peaceful and quiet. "Everything is calm," he says, and it almost sounds like a prayer. The second guard, looking up at his superior comrade, replies with mixed feelings. "Yes, the Imperial Knights have already dealt with the danger." In his voice you can hear admiration and a little envy for the glory and courage of the knights. The monument, huge and majestic, stands as if watching the life of the city. The glow of the sun emphasizes every relief, casting shadows that make it even more mysterious and majestic. Around the table on which the map is spread, the knights have gathered. They discuss their plan for the night, their faces showing seriousness and dedication. The conversation is full of tactics and strategy. Every word is important and calculated. A man with stiff hair and a scar on his face, dressed in heavy royal armor, stands before the knights with determination. "We'll kill them tonight," he says with unwavering confidence, his words evoking a new surge of determination in the knights. The other knights, absorbed in the silence, silently observe the heroic speech. Their faces are frozen in different expressions, from respect to thoughtfulness, but they are all united by one goal. Two more knights, lost in their own thoughts, also just watch, filled with thoughts about the future. Shamov, with an expression mixed with determination and calmness, points to one of the knights standing opposite. His words are weighty and full of meaning. "You have an important task." These are not just words, this is a commission that can change the fate of the Empire. Shamov chooses Logan McLean, a knight whose fame and bravery are known far beyond their kingdom. The choice was not accidental because Logan gained a reputation not only as a warrior, but also as a man of honor. His task is to protect the secret manuscript, the key to the kingdom's greatness and its security, at any cost. This mission falls on his shoulders like a heavy burden, but at the same time, it is an honor that cannot be neglected. Logan, listening carefully, accepts the assignment without a word of doubt. His nod is not just agreement, but a promise to complete the mission, even if it costs him his life. In his eyes you can read determination and readiness for the challenges ahead. Lifting his head and meeting the scarred man's eyes, Logan calmly says, "I know." His voice is unwavering, and in his eyes there is deep confidence, as if he holds the key to some great secret. Logan walks out the door, striding with the determination of a warrior who knows his way. Behind him, almost in the shadow, follows a guy whose eyes are burning with curiosity and an indescribable hope to catch up with the leader. This guy is trying to catch up to Logan. He seems to be fighting with every step, trying to get his thoughts out that seem ready to break free. They continue their journey together, discussing. The conversation deepens, revolving around questions of patriotism and personal devotion. This is a conversation between two people who, although different, find a common language in their loyalty to ideals. The young man walking next to Logan seems to sense the importance of the moment and begins to speak about the secret manuscript, his voice full of awe and admiration. He knows that this is not just a conversation, but the transfer of knowledge that can change the world. Before us is a view of the book itself, which seems to be a source of mysterious power. Scattered around her are symbols of sacrifice, a reminder of those who gave their lives to keep her safe from the dark forces of the Empire. Logan, following with the young man, listens to his reminder of the great responsibility that rests on his shoulders. The sense of duty and anticipation of great challenges make his view even more focused. Logan, although not with joy, but accepts this burden. He understands that there is no choice, and his consent is not just words, but an obligation to the past and the future. Finally, Logan explodes, asks the young man to shut up. This outburst of surprise and despair catches the young man off guard. He falls silent, his eyes wide open in shock. His view of Logan changes, and the tension of unspoken words and unexplained feelings is in the air. It wasn't about patriotism at all. This phrase echoes in the mind, rejecting the usual excuses and revealing the true reasons for the character's actions. Deep in his thoughts, Logan comes to realize that the real reason for his actions lies deeper than simple patriotism. This understanding comes as a moment of epiphany that challenges his own perception of himself. Memories of the past bring pain. The days when Logan was a simple man from nowhere, as he calls himself, cause him pain and reflection on missed opportunities and mistakes. The scene on the battlefield with his younger brother, who only took up arms 3 years ago and is already defeating Logan, shows their different life paths and skill levels. This is a defeat for Logan not only in a physical sense, but also in a moral sense. Despite decades of training to become a knight, Logan loses to his younger brother, who has only recently begun his journey as a warrior. This is not only a sporting defeat, but also a deep personal tragedy that calls into question his own worth and effort. Lying on the floor, Logan feels the weight of his defeat. Pain in the body echoes pain in the soul. He knows that it is not just a physical failure, but a deep personal crisis. The threat unfolds not only on the battlefield, but also in the very heart of the McLean family. Logan realizes that his actions brought not only himself, but also the whole family significant trouble. The atmosphere in the room escalates as Logan's father, clenching his fist on the table and paralyzed by the internal poison of anger, points a finger at his son. His question, although not spoken, echoes in space like a sentence. Logan stands in front of his father, head down, feeling the weight of his mistakes. He realized that his actions had serious consequences, not only for himself, but also for his younger brother, who would now have to answer for them both. Logan's father, racked with anger, grits his teeth so hard you can feel it even through the silence. His emotions are striking in the depth of anger and frustration he feels towards his eldest son. The words of his father, echoing in his heart, become the last straw for Logan. The feeling of inferiority that he carried in himself leads to a fatal mistake, betrayal of his brother. This is the moment when the pain of loss of self-esteem turns into unjustified aggression. Near the big window, in a moment of deep conversation, the father disowns Logan, saying, "You are no longer my son." These words become an invisible border that cannot be crossed back. For this unpardonable sin, Logan was banished from the family. After leaving home, he chooses the life of a mercenary, hoping to find justification for his betrayal and fill the void in his heart. Only after 10 years of constant struggle and constant trials, Logan comes to understand how big a mistake he made. Recognizing yourself as a bad man becomes the first step to self-knowledge and perhaps to redemption. The scene cuts to 2 women, one of whom shares the news with the other. This moment can open a new chapter in the story, indicating the further development of the plot and its impact on the lives of the characters. "Today there will be a public hanging in the square," the women discuss among themselves, not taking their eyes off the man who is passing by. Their words are weighty and steadfast, as if they are the keepers of the city's news. This man walking across the square is called McLean. His name echoes through the crowd, opening a new layer of understanding of future events. A man in the street comes to a screeching halt, pushing himself off the ground as the words of hanging reach his ears. His reaction is a mixture of pain, shock, and disbelief. Starting to run quickly, a man becomes the object of discussion among women who do not stop discussing him. "He's an aura user who fought against the Empire on the front lines," they say to each other, revealing his past and true nature. The younger brother desperately tries to get closer, but the guards hold him back, trying to protect him from the painful truth. Desperation and powerlessness overwhelm him as he screams to save or at least see his older brother one last time. In the square, in the silence of memories, the man continues to fight for his life, refusing to give up. His will to live is a testament to an indomitable spirit that fights to the last breath. The blood slowly flows down the blade and the life in the eye fades. This moment is a frozen frame of the final struggle, taking away the last ray of hope. The guard, standing in front of the entire crowd, loudly reminds that such a cruel end awaits anyone who dares to stand on the path of opposition to the Empire. His words sound like a warning that echoes through the confused and frightened audience. McLean, despite everything, promised to take revenge on the Empire for the murder of his family. His promise is not only words, but also an unquenchable flame in his heart that feeds his desire to fight and restore justice. This moment becomes the hardest test for him. Embraced in tears, he laments his inability to control his emotions and the lost chance to ask his brother for forgiveness. At the same time, his promise of revenge becomes the icebreaker that gives him the strength to go on despite the pain and loss. On the streets of the city, engulfed in twilight, the main flag flies proudly against the background of the majestic castle, as if protecting it from external threats. The guard, breaking the silence of the evening with his shout, points to the fugitive. "It's him! It's him!" His words instantly move others to action. They begin a pursuit, trying to catch up with Logan, who is now not just a passerby for them, but a target to be caught at any cost. Logan, using all his dexterity and speed, tries to break away from his pursuers. But suddenly he faces an insurmountable obstacle, an iron wall that rises in front of him from nowhere. Realizing that the time has come for decisive action, Logan focuses his attention on the sword he holds firmly in his right hand. This is not just a weapon, but an extension of his determination and will to win. The guard, full of anger and determination, rushes forward shouting, "Die, rebel!" His words echo in the air like a sentence to be carried out. At the moment of the clash of swords, sparks appear near Logan's face from strong blows. This is not just a fight, but a dance of death, where every move can be the last. The enemy's sword inexorably approaches Logan's face. Each moment seems stretched out in time, but Logan remains focused, looking for an opportunity to counterattack. The situation changes dramatically when Logan unexpectedly cuts through the guard's defense, and his sword plunges into the enemy's neck. The guard's face expresses absolute shock at the sudden turn of events, which emphasizes the unpredictability and brutality of this fight. "Bastard!" VDJ shouts the colleague of the killed guard, observing the scene in front of him. Emotions overwhelm him, inciting him to revenge. Intent on avenging his brother, he goes on the attack, attempting to strike Logan. The tension of the situation demands maximum concentration and speed from him, but his efforts prove futile in the face of the elusiveness and skill of Logan, who not only evades the attack but also counterattacks, adding another enemy to the list of vanquished. The situation becomes even more tense when another guard appears from the shadows, and without hesitation swings his sword at Logan. The stakes are rising every moment. And this guard is also defeated, joining the ranks of Logan's vanquished. His body flies to the side, a testament to Logan's immeasurable strength and determination in this fight. Faced with continuous attacks, Logan's enemies decided to join forces, realizing that only a joint attack would give them a chance to win. Their determination and desire to catch Logan increased manifold. A thought crossed Logan's mind. Am I going to have to die here? However, faith and hope still smolder in his heart that he will find a way out of this situation. A slight smile appearing on his face hints at another plan that has already begun to form in his head. The sudden decision to put the sword on the ground looks like a surrender, but it is actually the beginning of a new turn in the game. Instead of weapons, Logan chooses two stones, one blue, the other red. The red stone, which he holds more firmly, symbolizes strength and power, which can change the distribution of forces. As the stones lit up with a bright glow, an aura began to form around Logan, giving him new powers. His offer to his enemies, to die together, becomes not only a challenge, but also an announcement of a new phase of the battle, where the rules change once and for all. The guards, taken aback by the surprise, don't even have time to shout before the turning point occurs. Suddenly, the entire surrounding area is plunged into darkness, as Logan's energy shatters the windows, creating an explosive wave of light that pierces the night sky. A burst of crimson glow illuminates the Empire, marking a colossal event that will reverberate through the ages, a testament to Logan's power and determination. After the battle, Logan's life remains filled with a thirst for revenge, which at the same time brings him sad satisfaction from the fact that he managed to take revenge on his enemies. However, the deepest pain and sense of loss remain with him until the end. In the final moment of his life's journey, Logan, almost flying in a new self, accepts the realization that he will finally find peace by meeting his family in the afterlife. In light of the new events, Logan gets the opportunity to apologize to everyone he hurt or betrayed. This moment symbolizes an attempt at cleansing and restoration. Sitting alone and looking at the map, Logan experiences a flurry of emotions. In a moment of despair and rejection of his fate, he cannot hold back the cry that erupts from the depths of his soul. Grabbing his head, he feels a sharp pain in his temples. This physical symptom becomes for him another reminder of the unknown of his current situation. Logan's astonishment knows no bounds. How is it possible that he is still here, alive and breathing, after everything that has happened? He ponders deeply about the mystique of his existence and the chances he has been given. At this moment, a young man enters his room showing concern. "How are you?" This minor interaction becomes the first step in Logan's return to interacting with the world, making it clear that he is not alone with his thoughts and feelings. Logan is in a new, unusual situation. His head is wrapped in white bandages, indicating that he has undergone some kind of trauma or surgery, which has caused him surprise and confusion. Rick, his chief servant, enters his room, whose presence is supposed to calm Logan and help him adapt to the current situation. However, instead of peace, the meeting gives Logan a shock. He cannot understand how Rick can be standing in front of him if, according to him, he died 30 years ago. This discovery shocks Rick, leaving him with little to no means of reaction. Rick panics and starts screaming for help, believing that something is wrong with Logan, specifically his head and perception of reality. While Rick tries to find help by bringing a girl into the situation, Logan is deep in thought. He tries to understand what is happening around him and what place he occupies in this new reality, which seems so alien and incomprehensible to him. Distracted from his thoughts, Logan looks out the window to the street, where something unusual and interesting catches his attention. Everywhere he looked, the emblems of his house could be seen. This gave him mixed feelings, from pride to embarrassment. For a moment, Logan has the idea that everything that is happening around is just a dream, a fantasy that will soon dissipate. But the reality turns out to be different when the door to his room begins to slowly open, and a figure familiar to his heart begins to enter through it. Younger brother Logan, taking his first steps into the room, opens the door. This meeting becomes a symbolic moment that can change not only their relationship, but also the entire further development of events. The younger brother is slow to speak, hesitating before an important dialogue with Logan. This moment of indecision further emphasizes the tension of the moment. Approaching his brother, he feels the weight of every step, not knowing how to start a conversation after so many years of distance and misunderstandings. Upon his brother's appearance in the room, Logan is filled with surprise and perhaps conflicted feelings, especially when he hears the usual greeting, "How are you, Logan?" This simple question sounds absurd in the context of their meeting. Logan's response didn't take long. He throws a pillow at his brother, showing his displeasure and perhaps an attempt to distance himself from the painful reality through a joke. Emotions overwhelm Logan when he learns the true motive behind his brother's visit, which reminds him of his origins as a spawn of a mistress. This causes deep resentment and unfolds a new layer of conflict between the brothers. The younger brother, showing more understanding and compassion than expected, approaches Logan again with a question that shows his concern. "Logan, are you okay?" Rick, in his role as mediator and guardian, tries to calm the situation, willing to take his younger brother away to ease the tension between them. Logan, for his part, assures that he's fine, and unexpectedly asks Rick to leave his little brother with him. This moment shows Logan's desire to reconnect with his brother. Addressing his brother directly, Logan expresses his request to stay, looking him in the eye. This creates a moment of frankness and openness between them. The younger brother, moved by Logan's request and perhaps sensing a change in their relationship, takes a step towards him, slowly approaching him. This step symbolizes a willingness to listen and perhaps begin the process of healing their breakup. Rick, watching the development of events, finds himself thinking. Many questions pop up in his head about what is happening between the brothers, trying to understand the situation. As soon as the younger brother approaches Logan, he immediately begins to ask for his forgiveness, revealing his heart and desire to settle all the misunderstandings between them. Logan, in turn, also asks for forgiveness from his brother, emphasizing that the younger has not done anything for which he should repent. This indicates a mutual readiness for reconciliation and healing. Logan's voice shakes as he says, "I'm sorry," to his little brother. The emotional load of this moment is felt in every word, opening a new chapter in their relationship. The emotional tension of the moment makes the younger brother unable to hold back, and he begins to cry in response to Logan's words. These tears become a symbol of the dissolution of barriers between them and the opportunity to start a new, more open and honest relationship. Ranyan is presented as a great guy, emphasizing his courage, kindness, and importance to Logan. Logan is overwhelmed by a wave of memories of how Ranyan fought on the front lines under the orders of the kingdom and died there. This awakens complex emotions of pain and loss in him. Sitting on the bed, Logan experiences a storm of feelings that do not give him peace. Feelings of loss and guilt continue to haunt him. In a gesture of brotherly love and a sign of reconciliation, Logan places a hand on Ranyan's shoulder. This touch symbolizes the longing for support and healing between them. With determination and emotional strength, Logan loudly begs Ranyan for forgiveness. His words "forgive me" echo around the room, emphasizing his sincere remorse and desire to right his past wrongs. The tears of recognition and apology carry with them the weight of Logan's guilt, reflecting his deep emotional response to the past. In arms with his little brother, Logan seeks comfort and forgiveness. This gesture of support and love becomes for the younger brother an unexpected, but at the same time understandable evidence of changes in the elder. The hug becomes even stronger, showing the strength of their brotherly bond, which is strengthened through forgiveness and the expression of sincere feelings. Standing up, Logan continues to hug his brother, not holding back tears. The glow from the window envelops them, adding a special atmosphere to the moment, and symbolizing the new beginning and the purity of the relationship they have a chance to build. When the door in the room opens, the moment of farewell comes. The younger brother must go, but this separation does not symbolize the end of their story, but rather a new stage in their mutual understanding and connection. Ranyan remains standing, confused and brooding at the unexpected turn of events that has transpired between them. After a sincere farewell, where each of the brothers express their feelings and wishes to each other, there is a moment of letting go, which takes on a special meaning. Logan looks after Ranyan, feeling a mix of emotions, from relief to sadness for the times that seem so different now. After witnessing these events, Logan comes to the realization that what he experienced was not a dream or a vision. This helps him to accept reality more deeply and meaningfully. The most powerful revelation for Logan is the realization that he has returned to the past, with the ability to change the course of events or influence them in a different way. This discovery brings with it both new challenges and new opportunities for resolving internal conflicts and relationships with loved ones. Logan is faced with the task of not just living the past again, but actively intervening in events to change their course for the better. An unexpected voice from outside calling the landlady draws Logan's attention, adding an element of suspense to the moment of thinking about the future. A girl runs into the room, too tired to say her first words, leaving Logan surprised and intrigued. She apologizes, leaving Logan in the dark as to what exactly she feels she needs to apologize for, which puts him deeper into the situation. Rick, standing next to Maria, apologizes for her unintentional interference with Logan, despite the fact that he himself did not warn the girl about the possible consequences of his actions. Given the chance to change the past, Logan is faced with pleas for forgiveness from the servants, which reminds him of his own mistakes in his treatment of them in his past life. With a state of deep reflection on his actions, Logan looks for ways to appease and show his changed attitude towards the servants, wanting to make up for past miscalculations. Their reaction to being asked to bring a pen and paper, taken as a sign of possible threat due to previous experiences, points to the deep roots of fear and mistrust that Logan hopes to overcome. Complying with his request, the servants brought him everything he needed and carefully left it on the table, symbolizing their readiness for change, but remaining cautious in their actions. In expressing his gratitude to Rick, Logan disrupts the normal order of things, causing Rick to feel genuinely surprised by the unexpected expression of gratitude. This moment shows the change in Logan, his desire to improve relationships and create a more positive environment for everyone. A pensive Logan with a blue expression on his face reflects on his own past, admitting the mistakes in his behavior and decisions. This moment of awareness becomes an important step in his inner growth. Rick shows concern about Logan's condition, asking about the headache, and trying to understand the unexpected changes in his behavior. This attention to detail on Rick's part is even more alarming and shows the depth of their relationship. Rick decides to leave Logan alone, giving him a chance to rest and collect his thoughts. This shows understanding and respect for Logan's personal space. Logan, clutching his face and squeezing it hard, continues to think about his past actions. His introspection reflects a struggle with inner demons and a desire to change. Logan is challenged to be patient, as the process of rethinking and changing takes time and effort. Logan understands that the importance of the moment lies not only in correcting past mistakes, but also in planning and preventing future troubles. He decides to write down everything he knows about the future. He predicts a war against the Empire that will take place in 10 years, and will bring destruction not only to his family, but also to the entire nation. Logan's goal is not only to make the most of his abilities, but also to prevent this war, showing his responsible attitude towards the future. The first obstacle in his way will be the War of Vassals, which will break out in a year and partially take the lives of his family members, which is a warning of dark times to come. After writing down his plans and predictions on paper, Logan plunges into deep thought about how he can prevent future disasters. He understands that he has a difficult struggle ahead of him and the need to find effective ways to influence events. In the silence of the room, there is a chessboard on which the pieces are arranged, as if frozen in anticipation of the next move. It can symbolize planning and strategic thinking in life. A knock on the door interrupts the silence, raising questions and expectations from whoever might be behind it. The father, standing at the window and listening to voices from behind the door, hears himself addressed as father, which may indicate an important meeting or message. The voice behind the door continues, "I am the first young master. I have come to see you." This statement is interesting and may be of great importance to the father, as well as to the further development of the plot. The revelation that Logan might be behind the door surprised the ruler of the Empire, causing him mixed feelings. The character walks along the corridor, rhythmically stepping his feet on the tiles. His movements exude confidence and determination, setting the tone for the scene. The sudden exclamation of fright from the girls, who scream in surprise or fear at his appearance, adds an element of surprise and mystery to the scene. An atmosphere of fear spreads among those present, as if everyone around is afraid of this figure. This creates the impression that the character wields considerable power or is deeply unsettling. Ignoring the fear that his presence evokes, the main character continues to walk forward without touching anyone, while the others try to avoid any contact by quietly clinging to the walls. A girl carrying washed clothes suddenly appears in front of the character. An accident where everything a girl was holding flies out of her hands and she falls herself creates a moment of tension and vulnerability. The girl trembles with fear after her fall in front of Logan, indicating her fear of his reaction or deep concern over her mistake. Logan lends a helping hand, showing a willingness to support and comfort the girl, which emphasizes his kindness and changed attitude towards others. The girl, grateful for the help, smiles back, thanking Logan. This thank you and smile could be a moment of relief. Instead, the girl suddenly starts screaming, admitting her guilt and begging for forgiveness. This sudden shift in her behavior is disconcerting to Logan, leaving him confused as to the reasons for this behavior. Logan's introspection takes place regarding the drastic change in his character. He realizes that this change has not gone unnoticed by those around him, and that it will take time to adapt to his new essence. In front of the mirror, Logan is faced with his own reflection, which symbolizes his internal duel and the need to accept himself in a new role, while realizing that he must wait and demonstrate the changes that have taken place in him. Trying to smile and seeing the reflection of that smile in the mirror leads to internal shock as Logan wonders if the girl could have reacted so strongly to his smile that he himself finds terrifying. In front of the door to the master's office, Logan feels confident, ready to face the challenges ahead and demonstrate his new identity, evidenced by his inner confidence. Memories of a past conversation with his father fill his thoughts, bringing additional context to his inner struggle and emphasizing the importance of family ties and the guidance he received. The words of his father, once spoken at the window, "You are no longer my son," became a moment of deep crisis for Logan, which affected his entire future fate. In a past life, Logan resented his father and felt a deep wound after being rejected, becoming a symbol of lost connections and a broken heart. Clenching his fist, Logan realizes how wrong he was in his reaction to his father's words, and admits his mistakes and limited perspective at the time. When the door to the room opened and he stepped inside, addressing his father, the moment was an opportunity for a new beginning in their relationship. The father, hearing Logan's words and seeing him standing by the window, as he once was, is deeply surprised. This becomes for him a moment of awareness of the changes that have taken place with his son and an opportunity to reevaluate their relationship. The father, Patrick, reacts to Logan's presence by turning sharply to face him, adding to the sense of tension and suspense in the moment. His surprised exclamation of Logan's name underscores the extent of the changes that have occurred since they last met and brings an element of surprise to their interaction. Logan stands before his father, not hiding his own emotions, his face radiating intense feelings, as if reflecting inner fire and determination. This meeting acquires a symbolic meaning, becoming as if a confrontation or a couple, where every moment can change the further course of their relationship. Patrick McLean, daring to approach Logan, asks him about his reasons for coming, emphasizing the gravity of the moment and the potential consequences for both of them. Logan begins by explaining his intentions, which are to train near the family graveyard to improve his solo skills. This request indicates his desire to focus and find inner strength. The father is surprised by this request, which is reflected on his face. This reaction may indicate the unusualness of such a request or the unpredictability of Logan's actions. Logan realizes that in order to win the upcoming regional war, it is necessary to use the resources of the territory as much as possible, train knights and guards, and also make quality weapons. One of Logan's key needs is the funding needed to implement his plans. This indicates the practical aspect of its preparation. Logan brainstorms a way to raise funds for an event that's coming up in 3 months, while thinking of his girlfriend, whose relationship seems to be ending soon. This reference may indicate the personal sacrifices or difficulties that Logan is willing to undergo in order to achieve his goal. It seems to the father that Logan has not yet fully regained consciousness or returned to his normal state, which causes him concern or doubts about his current state. Logan tries to draw his father's attention to the changes in his behavior, emphasizing that in the past their main problem was his behavior. In response to his words, the father expresses his tiredness at the constant problems Logan causes, saying that he always makes things worse with his actions. The conversation ends with the father's abrupt demand to leave the room, which he expresses while standing with his back to Logan. Reflecting on the past, Logan comes to realize his own mistakes and admits that his actions and choices were not always the right ones. He reflects on his guilt and admits that he could have done stupid things. Gathering his last strength, Logan puts his hand over his heart, symbolizing the sincerity of his intentions, and says that he wants to train. These words make the father think, perhaps causing him to reevaluate his previous judgments about Logan or his capacity for change. It feels like Logan's words are not taken as an excuse by his father, which leads him to ask about specific training times. This question may indicate the father's willingness to at least partially consider Logan's request. When asked by his father, Logan says that he plans to train for about 3 months. Father assumed that Logan's main goal is to defeat Rodion, but in reality his goal is much deeper and more complex. The father begins to realize that Logan has indeed changed, drawing this conclusion based on his observations and reflections. Logan's response, expressed in words of thanks, demonstrates his respect and gratitude to his father, which can further strengthen the bond between them. As he leaves his father's room, Logan hears a call to his address, which may indicate that his father still has business with him or wants to add something. The father, standing by the window and not turning to Logan, warns Logan to be careful about sleeping on a cold floor in the spring. After hearing these words, Logan turns to his father, happy at this show of care. This moment can symbolize the restoration of the connection between them and indicate the possibility of further reconciliation and deepening of their relations. The smile that appears on Logan's face may reflect his inner state of satisfaction at the understanding he has reached with his father, or his optimism about future training. The beauty of the environment, particularly the leaves on the trees which are illuminated by the sun's rays, creates the perfect backdrop for Logan's future training sessions. Things supported by a sword and located on the floor symbolize his readiness and determination. Logan's need to train alone and not reveal his methods indicates the seriousness of his approach and the potential uniqueness of his techniques. The choice of a place for training emphasizes his desire to concentrate and avoid prying eyes. Discovering the book while rummaging through the briefcase may indicate the importance of this resource to his training. The book likely contains valuable knowledge that Logan plans to use. The book with the secrets of the divine sword becomes a key element in Logan's training. In the past life, knowing it by heart and burning it, he now has the opportunity to review and use this knowledge again. The cover of the book, "In the Glory of the Golden Falcon," symbolizes its great power. The title and cover design indicate a connection with legendary creatures and ancient mysteries. The book describes the secrets handed down by the hero of ancient times, who defeated the Golden Dragon. The secrets were encrypted using an unknown code, so that the knowledge remained available only to the worthy. The content of the book promises that the master will be able to master such a power that even the auras of the masters of the Empire and archmages will seem insignificant. In a past life, age and lack of talent did not hinder the hero. When an aura appears on his fist, Logan realizes that he has a chance to reach unprecedented heights. Logan is faced with the task of concentrating this power into the heart and creating a core, which is not an easy test even for those with extraordinary abilities. Going back in time gives Logan not only a chance to right the wrongs, but also unlocks the potential of the force within him, making him look forward to new opportunities. The look of surprise on Logan's face at how quickly he was able to form the core shows his abilities and potential that he may have underestimated before. The visualization of the yellow layer of the core in the area of VGJ. The heart symbolizes the energetic and spiritual awakening that Logan achieves through training and understanding the knowledge gained. His body easily absorbs this energy, indicating a high level of harmony and agreement with his own abilities. Logan is pleased with the result, which is a testament to his success in self-improvement. He happily picks up his sword, ready to continue his training. This gesture reflects his determination and dedication to the further development of his own abilities. Logan's relentless work in training shows his great dedication and perseverance. By performing each sword movement responsibly and repeating it over and over again, Logan demonstrates his focus and dedication to the training process. The smile and surprise on his face, caused by the impression of success in training, emphasize his satisfaction and surprise at how well everything is going. Logan remains surprised at the speed with which the core appeared in him, which may indicate hidden talents or untapped abilities that he is just beginning to reveal. He is pleased with the thought that in 3 months he will be much stronger. This confidence and optimism about the future underline his readiness for further challenges and his desire to become better. After a short rest, Logan feels refreshed and ready to continue training. Ideal outdoor weather conditions create an optimal environment for training, promoting not only physical, but also spiritual growth. The change of time of day from day to night symbolizes the relentless passage of time and the intensity of preparation. As Logan contemplates the great tree, he contemplates its grandeur, which can symbolize a reflection on his own strength and place in the world, while also comprehending the depth and scale of nature and existence. Among the techniques recorded in the manuscript, Logan explores a stroke that can transcend through space and time and is called a space-time cut. This technique indicates a high level of mastery and the ability to influence the main elements of reality, opening up unprecedented opportunities for him. Surrounded by an aura, Logan prepares to perform a highly developed technique, focusing his attention and energy. This is a moment of high concentration and readiness for action. A fire burns in his eyes, symbolizing determination, willpower, and the desire to achieve a goal. The expression of the eyes speaks of unshakable confidence and focus on the future action. Filled with the confidence of success, Logan strikes with all his might, showing the results of his training and confidence in his own abilities. After the blow, which required a lot of effort, Logan feels tired and exhausted. Exhausted, he sits down on the ground holding his sword to get some rest. This pause gives him the opportunity to gather strength after performing a difficult trick and recover before further challenges. After training, as Logan raises his head against the tree, he sees that it has been split in half by the force of his blow. This is a visual confirmation of his abilities and progress in training. The feeling of happiness and laughter that surrounds him at this moment is evidence of satisfaction with his own achievements and exceeding expectations. The realization that his powers have exceeded expectations brings Logan not only joy, but also awareness of his own power and potential for further development. Sitting on the ground and reflecting on what he has achieved, he realizes that he has achieved the goal of his training. This moment of realization is the culmination of his efforts and work. After spending so much time in the woods, Logan feels the need for personal hygiene, which adds realism and humanity to his character. He is ready to share the results of his training, but first he must take care of himself. The flag flying atop Castle Denmark can symbolize power, presence, or a particular historical moment of significance to Logan and its lands. Approaching his compound, Logan is met by a night guard who points out the formalities and procedures that apply to his property. Despite his status, the guard is not happy to meet Logan and demands a pass to enter. The guard's unpleasant expression and his green braids add color to this interaction. Rick, who accompanies Logan, stands aside, asking for help with the security guard. The guard stands his ground, refusing to let Logan and his companions in. Logan will hear indistinct sounds from the house, which indicates his increased attention and ability to perceive information from the environment due to improved hearing after training. As he listens to the guards mischaracterizing Logan as a bad person and a coward, he realizes that his perception and reputation may have suffered in his absence. The guards' comments leave Logan irritated and tired of the unwarranted accusations, causing him to question the effectiveness of simply communicating with the knight. Gathering his will into a fist, Logan prepares for decisive action, trying to find a way to solve the situation. Using his new knowledge and skills, Logan reaches into the inside pocket of his jacket, preparing to pull out something that could change the course of this interaction. The knight is surprised and anxiously waits to see what Logan can pull out of his pocket, emphasizing the moment of uncertainty and anticipation. This situation has greatly confused Logan, causing him fatigue from misunderstandings and accusations. But instead of an explosion of emotions, he chooses to remain calm, closing his eyes and silently calming himself. The guards watching the scene from the window are also drawn into this moment of anticipation. Rick, standing behind Logan, overcome with surprise and tension, sweats with excitement, ready for any development. Logan takes a decisive step, choosing a direct way to communicate with the guard, preparing for decisive action. Pulling his gloves from his pocket and throwing them in the bodyguard's face, Logan uses the traditional challenge to a duel gesture, a bold and somewhat theatrical way of emphasizing his seriousness and willingness to defend his honor. A gauntlet to the guard's face serves as an immediate and visually distinct challenge signal, sending a clear message of Logan's intent. By proposing a duel, Logan asserts his willingness to defend his rights and reputation through competition, demonstrating confidence in his own skills and courage. Rick, surprised and worried by this outcome, receives reassuring words from Logan, who assures him that he is up to the challenge and is not the coward some might have made him out to be. The guard's reaction to the challenge of throwing Logan's gloves in his face is very emotional. He becomes extremely angry and confused. The guard removes the gloves from his face and, although he doesn't like it, agrees to a duel. The tight grip of the gloves in the guard's hand symbolizes his determination and increased tension before the duel. There is an immediate sense of tension between Logan and the security guard. Their mutual antagonism and willingness to compete create a tense atmosphere leading up to the duel. At the place of the duel, the weapons are arranged in an organized manner, giving both opponents the opportunity to choose the appropriate weapons. Logan, standing in front of the knight with a wooden sword in his hands, is ready to compete. The choice of a non-lethal weapon may indicate a desire to prove one's superiority without actual violence. There is a distinct tension between them, which emphasizes their readiness for a duel. The other guards discuss this situation among themselves, which shows the interest and intense anticipation of the outcome of the duel on the part of the entourage. The reference to the past when Logan's brother was beaten adds further context to the story, reminding us of his personal trials and tribulations he faced. Despite the doubts of those around him about his victory, Logan remains confident in himself, which shows his inner strength, self-control, and willingness to compete no matter what. The knight's strength and courage are immediately apparent, indicating the seriousness of the challenge before Logan. This hints that the duel will be a true test of his abilities. The question that hangs in the air: what is more important for victory, Logan's calmness and confidence or the anger and power of the knight? Logan's servants and supporters, particularly Tariq, are visibly worried about him, showing their emotional attachment and concern for the possible outcome of the duel. A year that may seem unbreakable shows signs of tension and fear over the outcome of the duel. With each step, the duelists get closer to each other, increasing the sense of anticipation and readiness for the competition to begin. Facing each other, Logan and the knight prepare to duel under the supervision of a referee who announces the start of the duel. The referee announces that for safety reasons, the duel will take place on wooden swords, indicating the controlled nature of the competition and the desire to avoid unnecessary injuries. Logan looks at the judge with an expression of complete confidence, as if he was ready to compete with real swords. Logan's confident and calm look makes the judge nervous, which may indicate Logan's strength of character and his ability to influence others even without words. The referee waves his hand, signaling the start of the duel. This gesture establishes the initial moment of confrontation, increasing tension and anticipation among participants and observers. With a wave of his hand, the judge instructs the knight to be more careful, which may indicate an acknowledgement of the potential danger or power that Logan may display during the duel. Logan confidently holds a wooden sword ready to compete. His confidence and poise comes through in the way he wields his sword. His stance, confident and firmly planted on the ground, demonstrates physical fitness and self-confidence. The opponent, Sir Dominion, is also impressive in his power, surrounded by a red aura that indicates his strength and potential magical abilities. A mist frame can be a moment before the action begins, increasing tension and anticipation. Observers surprised by Sir Dominion's intention to use his full power against Logan may be questioning the choice of tactics, or simply surprised that he feels it necessary. This emphasizes the high expectations from the duel and the unpredictability of its outcome. The referee and Logan's supporters express their concern for him, pointing to the high stakes of this duel and the emotional stakes in the possible outcome. Despite the tension of the moment, the confidence on Logan's face speaks to his composure, inner strength, and strategic approach to the duel. Logan notices that his opponent is losing caution in handling his power, which may indicate his inexperience or overconfidence, which becomes a vulnerable point. Using this observation, Logan deliberately provokes his opponent by highlighting his inability to control his emotions in order to further throw him off balance. The opponent loses self-control under the influence of Logan's provocation, becoming angrier and gripping the sword even harder. This effort manifests itself physically through the protruding veins on the arms, which is a sign of emotional and physical stress. It is revealed that over time Sir Dominion, now in his 40s, has become the weakest in his order of knights and is considering retirement. This adds depth to his character, indicating his personal trials and reflections on the past and future. Sir Dominion goes about his business, waiting for the moment when he can leave the service. This shot emphasizes his resignation and distance from active military service. Realizes that Sir Dominion's best years are behind him, which may hint at his own dueling strategy given his opponent's experience and current state. Despite his inner doubts and reflections, Sir Dominion throws himself into the attack on Logan, showing his willingness to give it his all, regardless of his personal feelings. Rick and the other onlookers, worried about Logan, tremble in fear for their friend when they see Sir Dominion's charged attack. Sir Dominion, shouting his decision to resign anyway, charges forward, using the announcement as a kind of battle cry. With great force, he flies at Logan, who in turn stands confidently, ready to meet the attack. Logan's stability and self-control contrast with Sir Dominion's impulsiveness. There is no doubt in Logan's eyes, only confidence. This is a reflection of his inner strength and readiness for action. Sir Dominion directs his full force to deliver the final blow, but Logan dodges using his own skill and tactics, causing Sir Dominion to lose his balance. Logan's inability to hit and his cold-blooded countermaneuver greatly annoys Sir Dominion, whose anger reaches a climax visually emphasized by his emotional reaction. The knight kneeling before Logan symbolizes his defeat. This moment emphasizes Logan's physical and moral advantage in this duel. Logan, showing his confidence, uses this opportunity to question the true meaning of being a knight, holding his sword next to a defeated opponent. Addressing Sir Dominion, Logan questions his abilities and performance, asking if that's all he's capable of. Spectators, shocked by the event, cannot contain their emotions, expressing their admiration and surprise at the result of the duel. Logan's supporters are shocked by his undisputed victory, which shows their pride and amazement at his abilities and character. Logan holds his sword at the head of a defeated enemy, who until recently opposed him, denying access to the Empire. The audience who watched the duel cannot believe their eyes, watching the unexpected turn of events. Logan turns around and summons the judge. This action indicates his desire to formalize the next step after the duel. The judge quickly runs over to Logan, ready to do his bidding. Logan asks to give the Dominion another chance. This is a manifestation of his nobility and willingness to forgive, even in a situation where he has every right to decide the fate of his opponent. This decision may also indicate his understanding of the importance of mercy and the possibility of change even in the hearts of his enemies. Overwhelmed by Logan's unexpected offer to give the Dominion another chance, the judge can't contain his surprise and agrees. Sir Dominion, trembling with fear, does not understand what is happening, not believing in his failure, and at the same time in the possibility of getting a second chance. The wooden sword that trembles in Dominion's hands symbolizes his uncertainty and fluctuation between anger and fear. Despite being offered a second chance, anger and rejection of defeat drive the Dominion to attack Logan again, showing his unwillingness to accept his own weakness. Logan, realizing the enraged state of the Dominion, prepares to stop him again, raising his sword higher in defense. His ability to analyze the situation and control his own actions in response to his opponent's aggression demonstrates his wisdom and mastery of the martial arts. Sir Dominion finds a way to close in on Logan, using the last of his energy and determination to attempt a decisive strike. The blow Logan delivers to Dominion's chest is effective and powerful, so much so that Dominion's nose bleeds, emphasizing the force of the blow and the inevitability of defeat. The force of the blow throws Dominion to the ground, where he quickly finds himself in a state of utter helplessness, symbolizing his defeat. Despite Logan giving the Dominion a second chance, the opponent failed to capitalize on it, highlighting his inability to adapt and Logan's superiority, both physically and morally. The guard left on the ground trembles with fear and the realization of his defeat, a testament to Logan's greatness and strength as a warrior and as a person. The moment shows a small girl, perhaps a symbolic figure of innocence or a victim of the conflict, whose face is red with blood pouring from her nose. She tries to wipe the blood, which can symbolize an attempt to recover from a conflict or shock. Sir Dominion, realizing his utter defeat, accepts it. This is his moment of personal reflection and change, when he faces the reality of his weakness and mistakes. Through Logan's eyes, Dominion appears as a young man, emphasizing the sense of pity or sympathy Logan may feel for him, seeing him as not just an enemy, but a lost soul. Despite Dominion's attempts to strike, he is once again repulsed by Logan, demonstrating his superiority not only in physical strength, but also in his ability to anticipate the enemy's actions. Although anger instantly overwhelms Logan, he maintains control of himself, highlighting his mastery of controlling emotions and reactions. Despite the clear victory, it seems that Logan decides to demonstrate his superiority even more clearly, swinging his sword once more, which may symbolize the decisive moment of the fight. A series of blows to Dominion's body makes him plead for mercy, tears and despair visible. The audience, watching the events, cannot help but sympathize with the Dominion, wondering if they should have intervened and stopped the duel, emphasizing the growing pity for him. The knights, who had previously criticized the Dominion, do not believe that he could be so weak, causing them to question his abilities and reputation as a master. Logan appears in a confident pose, displaying great skill and experience, looking like he's been a swordsman for decades. This is his moment of triumph and recognition of his skills and strength. The judge announces the victory of Logan, who stands confidently without expressing his emotions. This is his moment of triumph, but he maintains his composure, showing inner calm and maturity. The atmosphere in the room where the chess is on the table is tense, symbolizing broken illusions and a changed perception of events. Voice breaks can indicate an emotional reaction to what is seen or heard. There is a conversation between Patrick McLean and his son, where Patrick notes that Logan seems to be awakened, hinting at an important change or realization in his life. Reflections on the answer to the father emphasize the internal conflict and the search for answers to questions about one's own actions and their consequences. As he lowers his head, he hears words from his father about growing up, which may indicate an acknowledgement of the changes in his character and growth as a person after the events of the duel. After the events of the duel, the father points out another important aspect of Logan's behavior, indicating that the conversation is incomplete and that there is another issue to discuss. The father directly questions Logan about his actions after gaining understanding and accuses him of attacking the knight in a fit of rage. Logan tries to justify himself, saying that the knight deserved the attack. The father questions the necessity of the attack, emphasizing the moral dilemma and the importance of responsibility for one's own decisions, standing over the son in search of a deeper meaning for his actions. Logan confidently claims that there was a need for his actions. The father continues to express his emotions, indicating his deep concern and involvement in the unfolding discussion with Logan. Logan explains his act by revealing the motives behind his actions against the person who tried to deceive and make a laughingstock of his master's son. Listening carefully to his son, the father notices some truth in his words. Logan wakes up to remember the guard's father who did not let him in. A statement about hierarchy as the pillar that allows the whole structure to function illustrates Logan's philosophical understanding of the structure of power and its importance to social order. When there is a threat to community stability or security, especially from armed individuals, decisive action must be taken to prevent further threats. He considers his actions necessary to maintain order and a warning to others. By presenting this rationale to his father, Logan feels more confident in his decisions and actions. He strengthens his position by presenting his actions as a teaching moment for the knights and other members of the community. The father agrees with Logan's arguments, but emphasizes the need to be more careful in the future. When his father asks about his desire for punishment, Logan is quick to say no, emphasizing his reluctance to deal with consequences that might limit or harm him. Despite understanding, the father still does not consider his son's actions completely justified, pointing to the possibility of avoiding the conflict without violence. Logan admits his guilt and promises to learn a lesson from this situation, which demonstrates his readiness for self-development and a responsible attitude to his own mistakes. The father prepares to say one more important thing to his son, hinting at the continuation of their dialogue and the further development of their relationship, perhaps sharing important wisdom or a decision. Logan listens intently, anxiously waiting for important news that shows his involvement and openness to change in his life. Logan's surprise and slight indignation when he learns of the arrival of his fiancée Rena may indicate his unpreparedness for the news or his internal conflicts over the matter. Despite his initial surprise, Logan is looking forward to meeting Rena, with definite plans for her. The description of Rena as a very beautiful girl with long hair, ample breasts, and a charming smile creates an idealized image of the bride, which may represent both her physical attractiveness and her influence on Logan. However, Logan admits that Rena may not meet all his ideals of beauty, his inner awareness and critical attitude even in matters of personal happiness. This is the moment when she literally takes the first step towards a new phase in her life and in Logan's life. Standing outside the entrance to the fortress, the announcement of Mistress Wolf's arrival emphasizes her importance and status. This is the moment when Rena enters not only the space of the fortress, but also the social and emotional context of Logan's life and his community. Rena, walking down the red carpet, heads to the room, which symbolizes her importance and status. The impression that Rena makes on observers is evidence of her pronounced beauty and presence, which does not leave anyone indifferent. She really looks incredible, making everyone around pay attention to her. Her first address to the audience with a question about how they lived shows her interest and politeness, showing a desire to connect with the new environment. Patrick responds to her question by saying that they had a good life, and his wife adds that Rena looks very beautiful. This emphasizes Rena's positive reception among the new family and her ability to impress with beauty. Rick, who remembers Rena from his childhood, is charmed to see her again. He is overwhelmed with joy at her beauty. The lack of joy on Logan's face at Rena's arrival indicates the complexity of his inner state or possible unresolved issues he has with her arrival. Rena asks permission to read a letter entrusted to her by the Count, which raises an interest in her role and mission in this gathering. Her actions may indicate important information she has to convey. The moment when Rena begins to read the letter in front of Patrick and his family creates tension and anticipation for what will be revealed in the contents of this letter. The reading duration of half an hour and the fatigue of the guard who listens emphasize the volume and complexity of the information unfolding before the participants of the meeting. Rena's unexpected confession about something she has to tell everyone, due to certain circumstances, introduces an element of surprise and shock to everyone present. Rena announces her decision to end her relationship with Patrick's son, which is an unexpected turn of events. This moment reveals complex emotional and social consequences for all involved. Patrick, standing on the balcony, observes the actions of Rena, who gives the letter to the maid. There is tension in the hall, but the specific content of the frame remains unclear due to the vagueness of the wording. Only Logan realizes that Rena is trying to avoid the main issue by focusing on superficial aspects, while the real essence of the problem remains unspoken. Logan realizes that behind Rena's words lies another, deeper frustration with Kyleron Wolves, who may have mistakenly or intentionally assumed that his father would become an aura user of great importance in their world. This little scum can indicate an intrigue or betrayal that affected the relationship between the characters. It turns out that the decision to separate was prompted by Rena's father because of the behavior of his son Patrick, which he found unacceptable. Logan perceives this situation as a deception on the part of Rena's family and her father, who, in his opinion, seek their own benefit at his expense. He feels betrayed and used, which increases his mistrust. The father's reaction to this situation is anger, and the belief that they want to deceive their family, which emphasizes his protective attitude and willingness to protect family interests. An angry father inspires fear in the guard, which is a testament to his power and influence. Rena tries to calm the situation, turning to Logan with comforting words. Remembering the moments from his childhood spent in the house of Patrick, Rena tries to evoke sympathy. She emphasizes the value and importance of preserving memories and connections. The image of Rena barely holding back tears makes her performance even more emotional and aimed at eliciting sympathy and understanding from the audience. The reaction of the surrounding girls, who blushed with sympathy to Rena's story, testifies to the effectiveness of her words in affecting the emotions of those present. However, Logan takes her words skeptically. He feels worse not from the emotional impact but from the realization that, in his opinion, Rena is lying. This moment highlights the gap between Logan's perception and others, as well as his internal conflict and mistrust of Rena. Logan's stepmother, curiously examining the situation, decides to intervene, asking Rena about the reason for the breakup. Rena finds herself in a difficult position, not immediately finding an answer to the question. Her hesitation reinforces the impression of her insecurity and possible concealment of the true reason. Mariana's stepmother is also Runyan's biological mother, which emphasizes the complex intra-family relationships and different interests within the same household. The indication that Mariana does not accept Logan and may see him as a rival adds additional tension to the conversation. Although she is not inclined to intervene, she decides to act for the honor of the family, which indicates her willingness to protect family interests. Rena, lowering her head and blushing, admits that she cannot name a specific reason for the breakup, as she herself does not understand its essence. This moment emphasizes her vulnerable position and possible loss in a situation that is out of control. Rena reveals the secret about her destiny to become Jana II, which angers Logan's stepmother, Mariana. This discovery probably carries profound implications and a mystical meaning that is difficult to grasp at first glance. Rina tries to justify her actions by offering $3 million as compensation. This gesture is intended to soften the situation and show her readiness to resolve the conflict peacefully. The financial manager's reaction to Rina's offer is dramatic and expresses utter surprise at the amount of compensation, underscoring the weight of the offer and its potential impact on the family. A smile on Logan's face in response to the situation may indicate his satisfaction with the turn of events or a sense of victory in a difficult situation. The opposite is the reaction of Logan's father, who feels anger so intense that it can be visualized as lasers from his eyes. The Lord's emotional reaction: his anger is expressed so strongly that even the guards have difficulty staying on their feet. The energy emanating from the Lord is so powerful that it causes a physical effect on the building, indicating his power and ability to affect the material world with his wrath. A young man with long hair who arrived with a girl shows a desire to calm the situation, appealing to the Lord for appeasement. This moment introduces a new character as a potential mediator in the conflict. The interaction between Patrick and the young man with long hair reveals an understanding between them based on their status and roles in society, hinting at a potential reconciliation. Molodik states that accepting monetary compensation would be a fair and acceptable solution for both sides, emphasizing his role as a reasonable and fair mediator in the conflict. The young knight waits expectantly for the Lord's answer, symbolizing the moment of tense anticipation when a weighty decision must be made. The strength of the Lord's emotions is shown physically when he grips the railing so hard that it cracks. This shows the depth of his inner conflict and pent-up anger. Rina's request to accept the money is not an attempt to buy their favor or resolve the conflict materially, but as a gesture of goodwill and an attempt to preserve the friendship. This emphasizes her desire to find a peaceful solution. The Lord ponders Rina's father's intentions, believing that sending the children on a mission of peace was his purpose. This may indicate his recognition of the complexity of the situation and the potential wisdom of such an approach. Lord's phrase that in the house of decent people, a guest remains a guest even if he brings bad news, reflects deep family values, VDJ, and readiness for forgiveness and acceptance. These words bring relief to all present, signaling a potential resolution of the conflict. In a symbolic gesture, under the glow of the light, the Lord declares his refusal to accept money, which emphasizes his desire to resolve the conflict on an emotional and moral level, rather than through financial compensation. The Lord's request to Rina for public forgiveness in front of his son is an important step towards restoring relations and admitting mistakes. This shows that the Lord values VDJ family ties and considers an apology a step towards reconciliation. The guard's positive reaction to the Lord's words reflects a general approval of his decision and willingness to follow his wisdom and leadership. Logan, taking the initiative, turns to his father, ready to voice his opinion. His willingness to intervene shows his important role in resolving the conflict and his maturity. Logan's request to his father to listen to his arguments in favor of accepting the money emphasizes his desire to find a practical solution to the problem and ensure the welfare of the family, even in the light of moral and ethical considerations. It turns out that part of Logan's family finances depends on contributions from his stepmother's family. This disclosure highlights the financial instability and potential threat of bankruptcy that could occur if this assistance were to end. Logan realizes that his father may not fully understand the financial situation or underestimate its severity. At the same time, Logan recognizes the need to get this money to maintain the family's financial stability. Logan directly appeals to his father to accept financial help, which emphasizes his desire to act for the benefit of the family, even when it goes against family principles. Logan's father, who has always adhered to his principles, is faced with a difficult choice between his beliefs and the need to ensure the financial security of the family. Logan's desire to convince him creates shock and tension. The emotional tension between Logan and his father reaches a climax when Logan feels his father's anger as a physical aura. This moment symbolizes deep differences in their views on solving family problems. Lord, trying to maintain his dignity, rejects the idea of VDJ. Accepting financial aid, believing that their home has enough resources. This shows his pride and attachment to the principles of self-sufficiency. Logan is tired of endless discussions and excuses that do not lead to a solution to the problem. His reaction indicates a growing frustration and dissatisfaction. The father continues to insist that they are too proud to accept help, even when faced with financial difficulties. This indicates deep-rooted beliefs and a possible lack of a realistic view of the situation. Logan's growing emotional tension comes to a head when he punches his father to change the tone in an attempt to emphasize the criticality of their financial situation. Failing to convince his father leads Logan to open up about all the problems and challenges their family faces in hopes of changing his attitude. Logan insists on the criticality of the situation, stressing that without financial support, they will be on the verge of bankruptcy. His words are intended to draw the father's attention to the seriousness of the circumstances. Standing in front of his father, his wife, and stepmother, Logan sharply formulates the prospect of the future, the transformation of their family into a family of the poor, if a solution to the financial problems is not found. Despite wanting to speak out about the girl who came with the proposal, Logan holds back due to the formal nature of the meeting. It turns out that the real reason for the reluctance to accept the proposed $3 million lies deeper than has been voiced. This creates intrigue and hints at more complex motives for rejection. The phrase about the Lord's need to reflect on Logan's words emphasizes the moment of reflection and potential reassessment of his decisions and principles in the light of new information and circumstances. The Wolves family is revealed to have an advantage over the Logan family, particularly due to their Earl's influence over the vassals, which adds a new dimension to the relationship and the possible causes of the conflict. The discussion among the servants shows the involvement and interest of all members of the household in solving the situation, indicating its effect on each of them. Irina expresses her gratitude to the Logan family, trying to smooth the tension and emphasizing her family's gratitude for their help, which indicates her desire to reach an understanding. Her words of respect for the McLean house are meant to restore trust and reaffirm her respect for their values VDJ/VG and history, aimed at maintaining a good relationship. Logan is given the opportunity to decide for himself how to proceed, after which he makes his case, noting the attempts to break up the engagement and calls for understanding. Rena's surprise indicates surprise on her part at the firmness and tone with which Logan states his position. A revelation about the past, where Logan did not believe in Rena's sincerity and believed that their divorce was due to deception. Confirming that Rena once lied to Logan illuminates the cause of his trauma and disappointment in the relationship, adding emotional depth to the story. Logan's admission that he had hoped for sincerity from Rena and how his perception turned out to be wrong reveals a deep personal trauma that has affected his relationship with her. Rena's actions as she begins to cut open her dress can symbolize her attempt to change the situation or visually demonstrate her intentions, which introduces an element of unpredictability and willingness to take radical action to remedy the situation. Logan is confused by Rena's actions, not understanding her motives or what she is trying to achieve by cutting her dress. This moment creates an atmosphere of uncertainty and confusion. The look of surprise on Logan's face underscores the depth of his lack of understanding of the situation and his inability to fathom Rena's sudden change in behavior, indicating his bewilderment and search for answers. Rena's attempt to attack Logan, which he repels, adds tension and unpredictability to the scene. This moment reveals a conflict that may have deeper roots and causes. The description of Rena as outwardly attractive, but actually terrifying and devious, indicates Logan's disillusionment and revision of his perception of her personality. This revelation of her true nature becomes a revelation for him. Logan's understanding of what is happening increases his surprise and possibly leads to a rethinking of their relationship and his own actions in response to her behavior. Rin's actions to portray herself as the victim of an attack when her attempt to attack Logan with a knife fails reveals her as a conniving character willing to fall for deception in order to accuse him of aggression. The intervention of the knight, who discovers a scene that could easily be misinterpreted as Logan attacking Rena, creates a misunderstanding and an opportunity for Rena to manipulate events to her advantage. Rena's successful ploy to make Logan look guilty demonstrates her capacity for trickery and manipulation. The situation forces Logan to take responsibility for the events that were forced to develop against him, and to ask for forgiveness on behalf of the McLean family. which emphasizes the injustice of the situation in which he found himself. Logan's subsequent mistrust of women caused by Rena's actions indicates the profound emotional impact of this event on his perception of relationships and trust, which may have lasting effects on his personal life. Realizing that Rena's deceptions have no chance of success, Logan stands in the room, brimming with determination and readiness for action. This emphasizes his ability to analyze the situation and find solutions. Logan's plans to improve his reputation within the family and among his vassals reveal his strategic approach to problem-solving. He believes that a change in the attitude towards him on the part of his family and others is possible through consistent actions and demonstration of his true qualities. Logan's inner musings reveal his inner strength, wisdom, and devotion to his family, despite his current trials and tribulations. The conflict with the Dominion and the reaction of the Guardians open up a challenge for Logan in the form of internal disrespect and the spread of rumors, which spurs him to action and self-reincarnation. Logan's awareness of the impending regional war and the importance of his reputation in that context indicates his deep understanding of external circumstances and the internal need to be prepared for future challenges. Logan's determination, manifested in his clenched hand, symbolizes his inner awareness of responsibility for the well-being of his family. He feels the burden of having to take steps to protect them from financial problems. Logan's announcement of accepting compensation indicates his desire to find a compromise in a difficult situation, even if it goes against the wishes and expectations of his family. The surprise of the lady reflects the unpredictability of Logan's reaction and the possibility that she hoped to use the money for her own purposes, which adds to her image of cunning and selflessness. The reaction of the father, who cannot accept the son's decision, shows the difference in their views on how best to act in this financial crisis, highlighting the generational conflict and the difference in values. The father's anger directed at Logan sums up the tension of the situation, where Logan is forced to make compromises that do not find understanding in his family, causing a conflict between Logan's personal vision and traditional family expectations. Logan's attempt to reassure his father highlights his ability for diplomacy and desire to find peaceful solutions to conflict, even in difficult situations. Rena's reaction of taking the opportunity to grab the money indicates her desire to profit from the situation, despite the moral aspects of such actions. Rena's question to the Lord about his final decision puts him in a position where he must make an important choice that will affect everyone present and the future of the family. Depicting Rena's devious intentions through her gaze emphasizes her agility and willingness to use any means to achieve her goals, making her an unpredictable and dangerous opponent. Logan's awareness of Rena's motives indicates his ability to analyze the situation and understand the true reasons for her actions, which allows him to better prepare to resolve the conflict. The father's decision to forego compensation in favor of forgiveness emphasizes that he values VDJV's moral aspects and relationships with other families more than material gain, demonstrating his values, VDVJ and principles. The reaction of the guards, who imagine the consequences of this decision, shows how important elections affect not only those directly involved, but also everyone who is in this social circle. Giving Logan the ultimate choice by his father indicates trust in his judgment and maturity, giving him the opportunity to decide for himself how best to act in a given situation. The surprise of those present at the father's decision reflected the unexpectedness of the course of events, indicating a change in the dynamics of power and responsibility in the family. The father's warning to be careful simultaneously expresses his concern and understanding of the risks associated with the possible consequences of the choices made by Logan. This emphasizes the complexity of the situation and the need for a balanced approach. The warning about the danger of losing honor by accepting compensation emphasizes the importance of preserving family values, VDJVJ, and honor, emphasizing the long-term consequences of such decisions. A look at his son that reflects his understanding that Logan has grown into an adult capable of making his own decisions suggests a moment of trust and transfer of responsibility. Logan's announcement of his decision to accept compensation demonstrates his attempt to find a balance between family values, VDJVJ, and the need to ensure financial stability, despite the possible compromise of his own honor. Logan's decision to accept compensation from Rena's family shows his willingness to make difficult compromises for the good of his family, highlighting his development as a character who weighs all aspects of the situation. The stepmother's smile indicates her satisfaction with Logan's decision, perhaps because of her own interest in providing for the family financially, or to confirm her influence over his choice. Rena's reaction to having to give the money, her emotional confusion and reluctance to part with the amount, highlight the complexity of the situation and the internal conflict she feels. The image of a father next to his son symbolizes family unity and support, despite possible differences of opinion or decisions. The father's indignation at Logan's decision shows the depth of the differences between generations in the family and the difference in values, VJ, and perception of honor and dignity. Logan's confusion from his father's rejection of his actions, but at the same time realizing the correctness of his choice, demonstrates his inner strength and willingness to make sacrifices for the sake of his family. Logan's recognition that his act was done for the good of his family highlights his maturity and responsibility, as well as his ability to make difficult decisions in difficult circumstances. The shining flag of the McLean family symbolizes the restoration of the honor and glory of the family, emphasizing the importance of compensation not only as material gain, but also as a means of maintaining family traditions. The image of the mountain of coins highlights the huge amount of compensation McLean received, reflecting the weight of Logan's decision to accept the money. Logan's attitude toward the amount received as he stands over the pile of gold reflects his realization of the importance of this resource to the family, but also his possible hesitation as to how best to use the funds. Logan's thoughts about putting money in the bank indicate his responsible approach to the financial support of his family and the desire to ensure long-term stability. The knock on the door adds an element of intrigue, making Logan wonder who might be coming, while also emphasizing his expectations and the possible changes that may come after accepting the money. Logan's arrival in the room with words of forgiveness introduces a new element of intrigue and suspense to the development, emphasizing a potentially important meeting for the main character. Logan's questioning of the visitor's identity indicates his caution and desire to understand who may be entering his personal space, especially at a time when the family is going through changes. Being introduced as Dwayne introduces a new key character to the story, who turns out to be closely tied to family and finances. The information that Dwayne is a financial manager and one of his father's confidants immediately makes him a figure of great weight for Logan and a possible ally or advisor in solving future tasks. Logan's immediate hunch about what Dwayne might need reflects his intuition and ability to anticipate developments given the current financial situation. Dwayne immediately begins to share with Logan the difficulties of his work, immediately emphasizing the importance and complexity of his role in the family. The details of the need to cut the budget to maintain the castle illustrate the depth of the financial problems facing the family and the challenges that rest on Dwayne's shoulders as the financial manager. Dwayne's lengthy narrative about himself and the difficulties he encountered indicates his need to share and possibly find understanding or support from Logan. The statement about the chance to control the financial situation in the family for several years, thanks to the received compensation, emphasizes the importance of this decision for the stability and future of the family. Dwayne's perception of Logan as a clueless child earlier probably indicates an underestimation of his capabilities and role in the family, but current events may change that impression. Dwayne's internal recognition of the need to share the money with Logan and his request for forgiveness indicate his understanding of Logan's importance in the financial decision and possible internal conflict. But instead, Dwayne decides to just say hello, which may indicate his desire to keep his relationship with Logan on a positive level by avoiding a direct conversation about finances. Praising Logan for his actions in accepting money from Rena's family is Dwayne's attempt to gain his support and recognition by emphasizing his contribution to strengthening the family's financial situation. Dwayne's satisfaction with Logan's actions shows that he approves of his action, seeing it as a step toward solving the family's financial problems, albeit in passing. Logan's weariness with this nonsense reflects his skepticism about praise and recognition, perhaps due to his doubts about Dwayne's sincerity or his own view of the situation. Dwayne's readiness for Logan's skeptical reaction shows his experience in handling sensitive financial issues and the ability to anticipate different scenarios of reactions. Forgetting about Logan's potential contribution to the family's financial support may indicate Dwayne's subconscious distrust of the younger family member or incomplete awareness of his abilities. Dwayne's suspicions about the possible irrational use of Logan's funds for personal needs demonstrate his concern for the stability of the family's financial situation. Dwayne's frustration at his failure to easily influence Logan and move him to desired actions attest to his own interest in controlling financial decisions. Dwayne's admission that he has to be a sycophant and accommodate the interests of others in order to maintain financial well-being reveals his inner conflict between professional ethics and the need to maintain his position. Dwayne's tears, as an attempt to elicit sympathy from Logan, highlight his willingness to resort to emotional blackmail to achieve his goal. This indicates his desperation and willingness to use any means. Logan's reaction to Dwayne's tears and questions about his well-being reflects his capacity for empathy and willingness to help, despite possible previous misunderstandings between them. The notification of the Cooper family's debt to the bank, in the amount of $3 million, acts as a critical moment of the conversation, aimed at motivating Logan to use the received funds to pay off the debt. The tension of the moment when Dwayne waits for Logan's response highlights the importance of this interaction for both parties, as well as the potential for the situation to change depending on Logan's decision. The lack of emotion in Logan's response may indicate his thought and caution before making an important decision, or distrust of the information received from Dwayne. Logan's proposal to settle the debt using the income from the harvest reflects his understanding of economic processes and his ability to find practical solutions, taking into account the needs of the family. Dwayne's hidden resentment that Logan is aware of and able to influence financial management highlights the shifting balance of power in their relationship and the possible underestimation of his knowledge and capabilities earlier. Logan's refusal to help at Dwayne's request seems to indicate his desire to control the use of compensation instead of mindlessly granting all requests. By having his own plans for the use of compensation, Logan demonstrates a responsible attitude to the financial well-being of the family and an orientation to long-term goals. The focus on the future and the development of the family again emphasizes Logan's strategic approach to the use of acquired resources, reflecting his understanding of the importance of a stable and prosperous future. Dwayne's admission of defeat and inability to get money from Logan shows a deep frustration and anger that could have far-reaching consequences for their relationship. The portrayal of money as something highly attractive and desirable emphasizes the universal value of resources and the influence they can have on human behavior and relationships. Despite the failure, Dwayne continues to try to influence Logan, talking about the financial situation in the future, trying to find new ways to cooperate or influence. Dwayne's stupor before being directly asked about the future indicates a lack of confidence in his plans or a lack of long-term strategy, further underscoring his predicament. Logan's recognition that Dwayne's actions could lead to financial problems again reflects his critical thinking and desire to use funds more wisely to avoid repeating past mistakes. Logan's statement about the targeted use of funds for the implementation of plans is an important step in confirming his responsible attitude to family finances, although it does not yet arouse enthusiasm in Dwayne. Dwayne's reassessment of Logan as a person who stopped being a carefree child and began to show an interest in solving family issues shows his surprise at the changes in Logan. Logan's request for a favor marks a shift in their relationship, where Logan now addresses Dwayne not as a subordinate, but as a partner with a specific request for interaction. Dwayne's surprise at Logan's unusual initiative indicates his willingness to rethink their relationship and potentially change his role in interacting with Logan. Logan's request to collect mercenaries opens a new direction for further activities and planning, indicates his strategic approach to future tasks and possible preparations for important family or social events. Logan's preparation for embarking on a new venture emphasizes his willingness to take action and his desire to ensure the financial well-being of his family through personal efforts. Rick's reaction to Logan's decision to leave indicates his surprise and possible misunderstanding of Logan's true motives and goals, reflecting the changing dynamic in their relationship. Logan's appeal to the river with the explanation of the need to earn additional funds reflects his openness and honesty with his friends, and also emphasizes the seriousness of his intentions. Recognizing the need for a much larger amount of money than is currently available shows the scale of Logan's plans and the willingness to take risks to realize them. Rick's belief that Logan's decision will not be supported by the Lord, and the reference to the already tense atmosphere in the castle, indicate the possible challenges and resistance that Logan may face in choosing his path. Logan's displeasure with Rick's words and his actions as he covers his ears reflect his desire to focus on the future without the distractions of others' doubts and fears. The plan to organize the army outwardly emphasizes Logan's ambition and his strategic thinking about strengthening the family and protecting his own interests. Logan's knowledge of current events and the use of personal experience to plan his actions demonstrate his ability to turn past failures into lessons for future success. Logan's departure, symbolized by packing his backpack, reflects his willingness to act independently and venture into the unknown to achieve his goals. The reaction of Rick begging Logan not to leave him highlights their strong friendship and Rick's fear of losing touch with his friend at a crucial moment. It also shows how serious and unpredictable Logan's future path is. Logan's humorous reaction when he figuratively steps on the river reflects his attempt to diffuse the tense atmosphere and demonstrates his efforts to maintain a light tone during difficult moments. Logan's promise to leave a letter for his father is a testament to his responsibility to his family and willingness to explain his actions, even when he makes choices that may cause conflict. The mystery surrounding the contents of the letter underscores the seriousness of the moment and Logan's possible anxiety about his father's reaction to its resolution. Rick's indignation and his fears about the consequences of writing on Logan's relationship with his father emphasize the deep connection and involvement in the friend's life, as well as the fear of negative change. The image of the father with a letter in his hands and a red aura of fire, which symbolizes anger, heralds a potential conflict and disagreement with Logan's decision, which can exacerbate already existing family tensions. In the letter, Logan pours out his heart, explaining the reasons for his temporary absence due to the pain of breaking off the engagement. He emphasizes his intention to return, indicating his sense of responsibility to his family and his hope for the healing of a broken heart. The tears of the river, who watches his father read the letter, reflect his empathy and concern for the fate of his friend. This emphasizes the deep emotional connections between the characters and Rick's understanding of the seriousness of Logan's decision and its impact on the family. The history of the reign in the kingdom indicates constant changes, leading to the decline and loss of influence of the McLean family. This sets the context for the struggle to restore one's status and power. The shrinking of the McLean's territories indicates a gradual narrowing of their power and opportunities, leaving them with the important task of preserving and expanding their possessions. The loss of fertile land shows the urgent need to find new resources and strategies to restore former power, underscoring the importance of land holdings in ensuring prosperity. McLean's reflections on the inability to find regional products and copper mines indicate his frustration and search for alternative routes to success. This reflects his willingness to fight and find solutions, even in difficult circumstances. The hope of meeting a person who can help with money at the entrance to the city indicates the beginning of a new phase in McLean's strategy. While traveling the streets of the city, Logan encounters numerous merchants, emphasizing the commercial and bustling nature of the place. This indicates economic activity and opportunities to find needed resources or allies. The long way to town highlights Logan's determination to reach his goal, despite the challenges and obstacles in his way. It is a symbol of his commitment to restoring family influence. The found writing of instructions leads Logan to a key figure in his quest, indicating that his actions are planned and that there is a specific direction in his mission. Philip Cloud, the Golden Bug, turns out to be a central figure in Logan's plans. This name symbolizes a special person or organization with great influence and the resources necessary to achieve their goals. The portrayal of power based on a merit system opens up an opportunity for Logan to use his skills and accomplishments to gain support. This indicates his potential to influence the situation using his knowledge and skills. The reference to a right that is inherent not only to landowners, but also to other parties, such as Philip Cloud, hints at the complex legal and social structures of the kingdom. Philip is presented as an example of a man of power and merit within this system. Philip Cloud's discovery in a vulnerable state on the street highlights an unexpected twist in the search for Logan. This is the moment when he first encounters his potential ally in reality. Logan's recognition that the boy in front of him is exactly who he's been looking for attests to the importance of this meeting. Philip's condition, in which he finds himself, indicates the difficulties he is going through. The description of Philip's suffering illustrates the depth of his despair and the hopelessness in which he found himself. This makes it clear that the reasons for his condition are deep and serious. Philip speaks his fears and despair out loud, emphasizing the criticality of his situation. He finds himself on the edge, and this is the moment when Logan can step in and change the course of events. Philip Cloud, catching Logan's gaze, finds at this moment an opportunity for change. This indicates the first step towards mutual understanding between them. Logan takes a step towards Philip, offering help and holding out his hand. This gesture symbolizes Logan's willingness to help and cooperate. Philip's question about who is in front of him indicates his curiosity and possible openness to cooperation. Logan's choice to approach and offer help can change their relationship. Logan, by maintaining intrigue and taking his time to reveal his identity, has the opportunity to build trust and intrigue, strengthening his position in Philip's eyes. Gradually getting closer to each other and looking for an opportunity to talk emphasize the importance of this meeting for both parties. Philip perceives in Logan's gaze a greed that may indicate his own fears and experiences. This perception is important to understanding his wariness and reaction to Logan. Philip's reaction to Logan's presence highlights his anxiety and mistrust, possibly caused by past negative experiences. Logan's decision to introduce himself shows his desire to reduce tension and build a dialogue based on honesty. Philip's reaction to Logan's name, related to the fear of losing money, reveals the depth of his anxiety and possible misunderstanding of Logan's intentions. The contrast between Philip's nervous demeanor and Logan's calm state gives the scene added depth, suggesting an opportunity for Logan to emerge as a calming and intelligent character. Filled with stress and anxiety, Philip desperately begs Logan to leave, indicating his high level of anxiety and uncertainty about Logan's intentions. The intervention of Logan, who places his hand on his armor and assures him that he is not here for the money, reveals his attempt to change the narrative and overcome Philip's fears. Logan's offer of investment as a response to Philip's fear of losing everything forces him to rethink the situation. The sun, which shines more brightly, symbolizes new hope and opportunities. Philip rejoices at the news of an investment that can provide him with a chance for recovery. It becomes a surprise and a breaking moment for him. Philip's doubts about the sanity of Logan, who is willing to invest in a recently broke man, indicate the complexity of his perception of the situation. He may consider Logan overly optimistic or inexperienced in financial matters. Philip's question about the amount of money Logan is willing to invest indicates his surprise and interest. Logan's confidence in the answer shows his willingness to help and influence the situation. Philip's reaction to the mention of the large amount shows his confusion and the hope that this investment can bring him and his cause. The description of his face as that of a small child emphasizes the joy and surprise of being able to get the support he needs. The focus on Logan's armor and the reference to their mud adds realism and highlights Logan's journey to meet Philip. The mud detail on the armor serves as a reminder of Logan's long journey, showing his determination and dedication to achieving his goal. The displeasure on Logan's face may indicate his reaction to mistrust or possible difficulties in negotiating with Philip, emphasizing the tension of the moment. Logan's attempt to calm Philip down and clarify the amount of money once again indicates his desire to continue the dialogue and find mutual understanding. Logan's light and cheerful facial expression may be an attempt to reduce the tension of the conversation and show his openness to cooperation. Philip expresses his skepticism, accusing Logan of possible deception. This shows the deep sense of distrust Philip feels about his recent financial ruin. Philip's reference to the symbol on Logan's armor may indicate his perception of Logan as representing a hostile or rival force, further deepening his mistrust. After waking up with a new idea, Logan prepares to act, indicating his intention to take a decisive step in his relationship with Philip. Logan's request for attention and his subsequent display of aura possession is a way to prove his abilities and seriousness of intent. Philip's intense surprise shows his underestimation of Logan, challenging his perception of Logan as a simple trickster. Logan is deep in thought, trying to come up with the perfect solution to calm Philip down and reduce his panic. Philip is all around, overcome with emotion, unable to find his place, showing his concern through tears and anxiety. Logan came up with a great idea that would not only calm Philip, but also pleasantly surprise him, restoring his confidence and calmness. In Logan's hand, the flame expertly played, forming a fiery ball floating in the air. Philip's face expresses deep astonishment, his eyes widening at the incredible scene before him. Philip's observation of Logan holding a ball of fire in his hand makes a big impression, causing him to rethink his previous judgments. Philip's realization of his mistake and his decision to ask for forgiveness is a turning point in their interaction, opening the way to possible cooperation and mutual understanding. Logan shows magnanimity by forgiving Philip for his past behavior. This moment emphasizes Logan's maturity and readiness for constructive dialogue. Logan's offer to hire Philip on a permanent basis with the added bonus of paying off the debt shows Logan's strategic approach to solving the problem. Philip's initially skeptical attitude changes dramatically when a light shines on his face, symbolizing new hope and opportunity. The opening of a bag of money belonging to Logan clearly demonstrates his financial capabilities and the seriousness of his intentions. A shocked Philip, stunned by Logan's offer and the presence of a large sum of money, is in a state of disbelief, underscoring the extent of the change in their relationship. Logan demonstrates his superiority and willingness to invest by sitting in front of Philip with a bag of money, like a king making a decisive move. This gesture symbolizes the beginning of a new era of cooperation between them. Signing the contract in blood and affixing a stamp is a symbol of the inviolability and seriousness of their obligations. This moment emphasizes the importance of the agreement and the commitment of both parties to its observance. The girl in the hat, acting as a kind of arbiter or witness to the agreement, explains the terms of the agreement in detail, emphasizing Philip's new status as Logan's subordinate. This is the moment when the rules of the game become absolutely clear for both parties. Leaving the magic bench symbolizes the end of one stage and the beginning of a new one in their relationship. Leaving the place where their cooperation was established, they discuss further actions given the new circumstances. Philip, moving down the street, thinks about his decision. Doubts and thoughts about whether he signed a death warrant for himself because of the fact that he chose the path of cooperation with Logan testify to his uncertainty about the future. Logan looks at Philip with a smile, happy with his decision to hire him. Their interaction promises to be interesting. Along the way, their relationship develops quickly. They already have more open conversations, but Philip is still trying to understand Logan's intentions. Logan tests Philip by talking about the possibility of breaking the contract to see his reaction and loyalty. After several trials, they find a common language and shake hands, agreeing to work together. Philip, feeling a connection with Logan, asks about his future duties, ready to take on the challenges Logan has in store for him. Logan sets Philip's first task, to buy monster meat, which surprises Philip, but he is ready to do it. Philip, with a smile on his face that expresses his skepticism about such an extraordinary task, understands his reaction, knowing about the taboo that exists around monster meat, but has his own plans on this account. He thinks ahead to the future, when a way will be discovered to neutralize the danger from monster meat, turning it into a valuable resource. Logan predicts that in the future, monster meat will become an important source of nutrition for regions with food shortages, emphasizing its impact on the economy and social structure. Ponders the unexpected properties of monster meat, discussing with Philip its potential for health and wellness uses. They analyze the possibilities of future research and how it can change the view of traditional nutrition, taking into account modern scientific advances. Logan considers how this innovative idea can affect the economy and public health, leading to a breakthrough in the food industry. He is focused on the potential to attract investment and large profits, carefully planning every step of this bold initiative. Philip listens to Logan's plans, with mixed feelings about the adventure, but is interested in further cooperation, seeing it as an opportunity for change. In his head, Philip chooses a simple solution to the problem. Just continue to cooperate with Logan regardless of anything. Philip's face shows absolute astonishment. His wide eyes and open mouth express shock at what he heard. The word 1,000,000 inches echoes in his head like thunder in the middle of a clear sky. An unexpected exclamation is heard in the full bar. Philip, not restraining his emotions, pronounces the number at the top of his voice, attracting the attention of everyone present. People turn to look at the source of the commotion, some with curiosity, others with irony. Philip and Logan continue their conversation, but already on calmer topics. They discuss financial issues with an emphasis on strategic decisions. Their dialogue smoothly moves from general discussions to specifics, where Philip begins to outline his proposals. During their conversation, Philip, with enthusiasm in his eyes, unfolds a picture of his innovative ideas in front of Logan. "Imagine meat that not only tastes good but also benefits health," he says, emphasizing his innovative approach. These proposals, which promise a revolution in the food industry, seem like a bold step into the future. Logan, not taking his eyes off, listens to Philip, swirling a glass of wine in his hands. His facial expression is difficult to decipher, but there is interest in his eyes. Every idea that Philip brings up is met with a watchful eye from Logan, who seems to already be assessing the potential of these suggestions. Philip does not stop continuing the topic of conversation without deviating from the main topic, buying food. Logan, relishing the glass to his lips, imperceptibly nods, asks Philip to continue. The atmosphere is tense, but the anticipation in the air portends something big. Philip's energetic blow on the table breaks the silence. "This offer is unacceptable." His voice, full of determination, makes everyone pay attention. Philip, putting his hand on his chest, expresses his idea with particular seriousness. "Considering that everyone is getting rid of the monster meat right now, we could just buy it back. That will be more than enough." Logan is taken aback by this unexpected proposal. His face expresses sincere curiosity and at the same time thoughtfulness at Philip's unexpected approach. Philip, always sneaky and careful when it comes to money, has a plan. "Our request will become known, and people themselves will start bringing all the meat right to our feet. And not just any meat, but already processed," he says with a sly smile. Logan, looking shocked, realizes that every penny spent on Philip has already paid off, because his ideas are pure gold. His eyes show respect and gratitude for unexpected decisions. After long conversations in the bar with glasses of beer, they came to an agreement. Philip, with mild satisfaction, asks Logan to let him continue to manage the money affairs, confident in his own ability to multiply profits. Another idea flashes in Logan's head like a light in the dark. He is full of enthusiasm from a new turn of his thoughts. He hands Philip a piece of paper on which is written the task of buying monster meat in large batches, as well as a list of other things necessary for the purchase. This step symbolizes the beginning of a big business. One of the purchases is a special wood that will be used to create weapons in the future. But for now, Logan is keeping this information a secret from Philip, shrouding his plans in secrecy. Philip rereads the letter intently, but it never occurs to him that in the past, weapons made from these materials have been used to invade the kingdom. These items provided such power that even the weakest soldier could hold a seasoned knight under control. Holding a glass in his hand, Logan thoughtfully recalls how he entrusted Dwayne with the task of recruiting mercenaries to gain an advantage in the regional war. It is an echo of smart and important decisions that shape the future of their enterprises. Raising the glass, Dorota thinks about the need to find a master who would be able to create a weapon from these special materials. The first step is to find a craftsman who can bring this idea to life. 2 days later, we are transported to the mercenaries' meeting place, where Karen leads them to his purple-lidded house. This place stands out among the others for its beauty and architecture, as if reminding of the importance of the task ahead. One of the mercenaries, sitting with his back to the wall, listens attentively to the offer of employment. His posture radiates readiness and commitment to a cause that could change the course of their further actions. Before him stands Logan, who offers cooperation. His figure radiates confidence and the intention to conclude a deal that promises to be mutually beneficial. After he heard the interesting suggestion from Logan, he put his hand behind the back of his head in surprise, not understanding why he had attracted such attention from Logan. His face expresses a mixture of surprise and curiosity. Logan at this moment cannot reveal the whole truth, but in a past life they have already worked together. This is a hint of a mysterious past that unites their destinies. Kyle was Orang's instructor, and working with him as well as other influencers greatly increased his popularity. His reputation in the area where he performed as a master made him sought after by many. Recognizing Kyle's value and potential, Logan offers him a reward of 4,000 zlotys without hesitation. This generous gesture indicates Logan's great faith in the future success of their joint venture. Calculating Logan's offer in his head, Kyle realizes that Orang's mercenary at best can make 2,000 a month, and then Logan offers him twice as much. This generosity overflows his thoughts, but also causes doubts. Shaking his head and holding his hand out in front of him as a stop sign, Kyle refuses, saying he's never worked with mercenaries as an instructor. His gestures and words reflect hesitation and uncertainty. Closing his eyes and lowering his head a little, Logan realizes that the time has come for radical action. He knows he has to do something unusual to convince Kyle. In response to the adamant refusal, Logan resorts to the radical step of offering an astronomical sum of 7,000. This gesture of desperation shows how important it is to him to involve Kyle. But Kyle's reaction is even more unexpected. He angrily hits the wall with his hand, exclaiming that his loyalty and faithfulness cannot be bought with money. This moment emphasizes his dignity and principles. When the sum of 8,000 is called, Kyle, seemingly defeated, kneels before Logan, declaring that he accepts the offer. This moment is a decisive turning point in their relationship. It's a beautiful day with clear weather when Logan manages to hire Kyle. The sun shines brightly, symbolizing a new beginning and the shared opportunities that open before them. Walking down the street, they have a light conversation. Logan asks Kyle if he's wondering why he was chosen. This question reveals Logan's desire to learn more about Kyle's thoughts and feelings. To which Kyle replies, "What's the point if you're paying decently?" This answer resonates with Logan, who, lost in dreamy thoughts, reflects on Kyle's clear mind and practical approach. Their easy walk is suddenly interrupted by words from the corner when someone shouts loudly from the side. This unexpected interruption puts tension on the atmosphere, making you wonder what will happen next. Witnessing the brutal scene, where the slaves are driven, beaten with vines and rubber, Kyle and Logan freeze in surprise. Their faces express shock at the violence and injustice they saw. People with their hands and feet tied walk down the street, and they are mercilessly chased. This picture makes you think about the difficult situation in which they found themselves. Many of them have shackles on their feet, symbolizing their complete submission and loss of freedom. The different waves on the shackles may indicate different statuses or reasons for their captivity. Kyle, with knowledge of the situation, warns Logan that there will only be more such scenes in the city of mercenaries and slaves. His words prepare Logan for the harsh reality of these places. Next is the mercenary market, where people sit in cages ready to be sold. This bleak market landscape underscores the depth of their contempt and commodification. Hearing Kyle's words, Logan lowers his head even lower and quietly admits, "Yeah, I know." This moment reveals his inner conflict and understanding of the tragedy unfolding before them. With a heavy heart, Logan is going to go to the market and buy at least one slave, hoping to somehow ease his suffering. The various people who are there, they all look terrible, evoking sympathy and a desire to help. In contrast to the impoverished and suffering slaves, the traders look very well groomed and beautiful, emphasizing the cruel inequality and injustice of such a situation. As Logan approaches, the merchants, mistaking him for a simple and uneducated peasant who can buy anything they offer him, begin actively offering him to buy people. From all sides, Logan is bombarded with offers to sell slaves at the lowest price, creating a frenzy of desperate attempts to get his attention. Fury grips Kayla, his face red with anger, the veins on his neck standing out like never before. This moment emphasizes deep indignation and dissatisfaction with the situation. The traders, recognizing Kyle, feel stressed by his presence. Their reactions indicate that Kyle has some weight and authority in this environment, able to influence their behavior. However, despite the merchant's concerns, Logan feels more at ease with Kyle by his side. This support gives him confidence and security in a dangerous environment. Logan and Kylop go to the destination, where they will buy a dwarf. Arriving at their destination, a scene unfolds in front of them with numerous guards and an old merchant standing across from Logan. Guards with spears form a tight circle, emphasizing the importance of the moment. The old merchant, standing in front of Logan, turns to him with an unexpected request to buy a dwarf. This request brings a new element to an already difficult situation, adding an element of mystery and unpredictability. Upon entering the appointed place, the old merchant confidently states that they have a variety of races for sale, but they pay special attention to dwarves, considering them to be a unique and valuable race. Logan surveys the environment, trying to cover the entire spectrum of what opens before him in order to make the appropriate choice. Inside one of the cages sit two girls who look very dirty and neglected. Their condition evokes compassion and a desire to help. These are elves, rare and valuable creatures that the old man, standing behind Logan, points out are very difficult to find and acquire. His words emphasize the uniqueness of elves. The old man wanted to continue the story about the elves, but Logan interrupted him, apparently having already decided for himself that he had heard enough. This moment shows his dissatisfaction with the situation, or little patience for continuing the conversation. Pointing to one dwarf, Logan asks the merchant to bring him closer. This moment is decisive. The choice has been made, and now it's time to figure out the details. The chosen dwarf is old, with a gray beard and mustache, big ears and long hair. His figure radiates ancient wisdom and many lived years. The legs of the old dwarf are bound by shackles, which emphasizes his captivity and difficult fate. This element adds tragedy to the story and emphasizes the brutality of the slave trade. His hands are tied with a wooden board, another sign of oppression and lack of freedom. This shows how difficult his situation is. The old merchant continues to praise the dwarf, declaring that the dwarf is one of the few who hold the rank of expert. This information opens up new dimensions in understanding its value. The words expert cause strong surprise on Logan's face. He didn't expect to find someone with such unique abilities in such a place. Dwarves, by their nature, are skillful with their hands, creating and repairing objects, finding in this the meaning of life from childhood to old age. This ability makes them indispensable masters and artisans. Logan, realizing the importance of this dwarf, has no doubts about his skills and asks for a price, hoping to seal a deal. Since the dwarf is an expert in his field, the old merchant sets the price at 2,000, emphasizing the amount with two fingers. The cost reflects the high abilities and rare status of the dwarf. The old man's price angered Logan, and he couldn't help but ask if he looked like a naive simpleton. His indignation indicates rejection of the attempt to use him. The old man, feeling the pressure from Logan, agrees to lower the price to 1,500, lowering his head in concession. This immediate reaction shows that the original price may have been inflated. Kyle, watching the negotiations, is impressed by how skillfully Logan negotiates, quickly knocking down the price in a matter of minutes. This situation makes him admire Logan's skill. Walking down the street, the dwarf turns to Logan, noting that he acts without remorse. This comment may indicate the dwarf's observation of Logan's steadfast character or his determination to bargain. Curiosity does not leave the face of the dwarf, who wonders where he is being led next. Despite the change in circumstances, his interest and observation remain unchanged. Logan reveals his plans to the dwarf. "You will go to my house. There you will work on the manufacture of weapons." This reveals not only his intentions, but also his trust in the dwarf's unique abilities. Light appears in the dwarf's eyes, and hope appears on his face. This moment reflects his inner light and joy at the possibility of returning home one day. Logan knows that despite his natural abilities, without true passion and enthusiasm, it is impossible to create a true masterpiece. He watches the dwarf thoughtfully, understanding this problem. Looking into the dwarf's eyes, Logan realizes that his task becomes not just to use the dwarf's abilities, but to restore his enthusiasm and passion for craftsmanship. Walking past the dwarf, Logan loudly says, 20 years. At first it sounds incomprehensible to a dwarf, but these words can reveal long-term plans for the future or symbolize hope for a change in his fate. Logan promises the dwarf that if he works at full strength for 20 years, he will send him back to the mountains. This offer opens the prospect of a return to the native lands for the dwarf. 20 years is a significant period in the life of dwarves, but Logan, without removing the smile from his face, makes this offer, showing his friendly attitude and hope for mutually beneficial cooperation. Light appears in the dwarf's eyes, and hope appears on his face. This moment reflects his inner light and joy at the possibility of returning home one day. Their conversation becomes more and more emotional, but suddenly they are interrupted by loud shouts, "Detain him!" The feeling of calm disappears instantly, replaced by tension from an unexpected situation. They see a slave running away from the slave trader, with another young man on his back. The two small boys run straight for Logan, Kyle, and the dwarf standing nearby. This scene suddenly changes the course of events, involving them in a new and unpredictable story. Watching the commotion unfold in front of him, Logan suddenly notices something, and a look of surprise takes over his face. A momentary change in facial expression indicates surprise or an important discovery. The two children race past Logan at incredible speed, barely visible in the bustling streets. Their determination and dexterity attract attention. One of the boys has unusual multicolored eyes. One is blue, the other is red. His face is wet from fatigue and fear from being chased by a slave trader who constantly abused them. People on the street run to the sides, making room for the boys running fast. This scene emphasizes the surprise and chaos that has suddenly arisen. Behind, clinging tightly to the back of the first boy, sits a young man who is pinning all his hopes on a successful escape. His decisive action reveals despair and hope for a better future. One of the boys is noticed by slave traders. The little one, sensing danger, looks back at the pursuers, trying to assess the situation. But not having time to react, they feel a blow on their legs from an adult man, which causes them to fall. The force of the blow is unexpected and instantaneous. The pursuers catch up with them, and the shirt of one of the boys is torn, and blood begins to flow from under it. A boy holds a wounded hand, trying to reduce the bleeding. The man who caught them expresses deep indignation and anger at the kids, which became the cause of his dissatisfaction. He continues to beat them, outraged that they bit him in their desperation to escape. Each blow reflects the brutality and heartlessness of the pursuer. Two brothers look into each other's eyes. One of them has tears in his eyes, caused by compassion and concern for his brother. The younger one asks the older one if everything is okay with him, showing his concern. Kyle, standing behind Logan, tries to dissuade him from reacting, telling him to ignore the situation, but his advice doesn't sound convincing in the context of the desperation the boys feel. Logan, however, seems to sense that there is more to the situation than just a simple stalking incident. Paying attention to the multicolored eyes of one of the boys, Logan suddenly realizes that he has seen something like this before, and it causes a surge of recognition in him. Logan is surprised to realize that it is Victor, one of the boys, which has a special meaning. This discovery leads to a sudden change in his attitude towards the situation. Logan asks Kyle for a moment and steps forward, ready to intervene in the situation unfolding before him. In his past life in a distant kingdom, there was a famous aura user who possessed extraordinary power. This aura user became a slave who escaped by killing his owner. He was wanted for this act and became a target for many soldiers and knights, forced to go into hiding as a criminal. 10 years later he reappears, already using his aura to prove that he is superior to ordinary people. He takes revenge by killing the family of his former owners and every aristocrat he meets, earning him a reputation as a dangerous aura user. The incident with the disappearance of one of the nobles happens a year after Logan himself becomes a mercenary. This event draws him deeper into the dark secrets of the mercenary world. Logan tells Kyle of his intention to save the boy, mentally considering the possibility that the boy will become an important aura user on his side in the future. The problem is that one of the slavers has a bleeding wound from biting the boy, and they are very annoyed with the boy for his brave act. The cub continues to aggressively defend itself, biting the slaver and grabbing his leg with his teeth, prompting a loud yelp of pain from the man. "He's not an obsessed homicidal maniac," the slave trader shouts at the boy, trying to paint him as a threat and justify his cruelty. Logan, for now, just watches the development of events, analyzing the situation and thinking about the best moment to intervene. The man, outraged and covered in bite marks, radiates uncontrollable anger at the child. Swinging to strike the boy directly in the head, he suddenly feels that his blow is stopped by a sword that unexpectedly appeared in front of his leg. Logan stands with sword in hand. He was the one who parried the blow aimed at the boy, using his weapon as protection for the little one. The slave trader turns to Logan, puzzled, and trying to figure out who he is and how he managed to sneak up so quickly and unnoticed. The man's gaze falls on the emblem on Logan's armor, and at that moment he realizes who is standing before him. It becomes clear what reputation and importance Logan has. The slaver, feeling the resistance of the sword, immediately takes his foot back, aware of the potential threat. He hastily apologizes to Logan for the situation, explaining his behavior by the inconvenience of the circumstances, and suddenly realizes that he is dealing with a potential buyer. Trying to smooth over the conflict situation, the slave trader turns to Logan with an offer to buy some slaves, hoping for his interest. Meanwhile, the children, frightened and upset by the resulting tension, sit on the ground crying from the stress they have experienced. Their helplessness and fear emphasize the brutality of the situation. The slave trader announces a price of $10,000 for each of the children, hoping to lure Logan into the purchase. This sum reflects the high value of slaves in their world. While watching the slave trader, Logan realizes that $10,000 for a would-be assassin of aristocrats is a good price, although the trader does not yet realize this. The merchant's face shows the hope of getting rich on this deal, despite the dark truth he doesn't know. Observing the children, Logan notices that despite their terrible condition, they have a special beauty. Their blue hair and multicolored eyes make them uniquely attractive, reminding us of the uniqueness of each of them, despite their cruel circumstances. Logan and the slave trader continue to bargain, finding common ground on the price of these children's lives. In the face of Logan's objection, the slave trader offers him to determine the price himself, trying to find common ground. Logan becomes angry, and his emotions become visible to everyone around him, indicating his disapproval of the situation. The man who traded slaves, seeing Logan's reaction, feels strong fear and begins to panic, realizing the potential threat from his interlocutor. Remembering his leg bleeding from Victor's bites, the slave trader realizes that he is in a dangerous position from which there is no easy way out. Faced with his own fear and helplessness, he is forced to accept Logan's terms, giving in on the price and deciding to sell the slaves. The deal was made, and now the younger brother realizes that he and his brother now belong to Logan. The feeling that they have become part of something bigger fills their thoughts. Logan's team is expanded. Kyle, a dwarf, Logan, and two small ones. They form a new alliance, ready for future challenges and adventures. Returning to his younger brother, Logan acknowledges his quick recovery from the shock, impressed by his resilience and courage. A red aura was emanating from the highly stressed boy, the result of a magical intervention by Logan, who used his aura knowledge to help him recover. This moment marks a deep connection between them and reveals Logan's unusual abilities. The boy who was walking behind his brother, watching the discovery of the red aura, was deeply surprised. He realizes that he has entered a world where magic and power play a big role, and this changes his understanding of reality. It turned out to be strange that the child can see or feel the force, which is an unusual phenomenon and causes surprise. Logan thinks about it, assuming that the child's ability might just be a coincidence, but deep down he feels that it might matter. Sitting on his back, the little boy suddenly clenched his teeth as if he felt pain or tension, which indicated an unusual reaction. Unexpectedly, he quickly jumped up and with shouts of "Die!" rushed at Logan, showing unpredictable aggression. Dodging the little one's blow was not a big problem for Logan, and he handled the situation with ease. Logan gently grabbed the boy's hand, trying to calm him down and stop the aggression. Holding him in the air, Logan orders him not to repeat this behavior, showing his superiority but also his concern for the little one's safety. Logan continues to hold the boy's throat, emphasizing the seriousness of his warning, but doing so in a controlled manner so as not to cause harm. The boy begins to understand Logan's words, which sound like recognition of his fighting spirit, but also like advice to choose your opponents more wisely. Logan does not put the final point in this discussion, but makes a remark to the boy that it is not possible to behave like this anymore, showing him the limits of what is acceptable. All of Logan's words were addressed to the boy who was listening intently while in Logan's arms. This indicates the child's respect for Logan, even in spite of the difficult situation. Releasing the boy, allowing him to breathe freely again. This gesture of release is a sign that the tension between them has subsided. Free from the embrace, the boy drops to the ground, sitting down. This may indicate his fatigue from the stress experienced or a sign of submission to Logan. Logan walks over to him and gets down on one knee, preparing to say something. This gesture shows a willingness to talk from a position of equality, showing respect and care. Looking at the boy, Logan decides that the punishment was enough. This recognition not only ends their conflict, but also opens the way for possible reconciliation and understanding. "I plan to make a knight out of you," Logan declared. Listening to these words, the little boy showed obvious surprise, not expecting such an offer. Their conversation about the boy's future and his path to knighthood continued, with the boy sitting across from Logan intently listening to every word. Finally, a smile appeared on Logan's face, a reflection of satisfaction at the boy's reaction and his own plans for his future. Logan assured the boy that he would help both him and his brother, opening the door to new opportunities and hopes for both children. The children looked at each other, hope shining in their eyes. This exchange emphasizes their belief in a better future and trust in Logan as their protector and mentor. Overwhelmed with enthusiasm and readiness for a new life, the little boy shouted loudly, agreeing to Logan's offer, ready to accept the challenge of becoming a knight. Logan had no doubts about the boy's decision, sensing in him the willpower and desire to change his life. Recognizes that the character and nature of boys can be controlled and directed on a positive path through strong leadership and proper training. The story reaches its turning point, and although training for the boys will begin after returning home, Logan takes one last look at the dwarf, hinting at new tasks. He asks the dwarf to step aside for a moment, intending to share with him some special information or idea that may mark a new chapter in their history together. Logan and the dwarf left alone to discuss the terms of their contract, keeping an eye on Kyle and the children who remained waiting. The very idea of VJ-VJA contract greatly surprised the dwarf, bringing a new element to their relationship and mutual understanding. In the background, the blue-haired child and Kyle were watching Logan and the dwarf, waiting for developments and the outcome of their conversation. Logan offered a magical contract, according to which if the dwarf served him 20 years, he would ensure his return to the mountains. This condition of the contract gives the dwarf the prospect of returning home. It was hard for the dwarf to take his word for it, but the hope that Logan would fulfill his promise and send him home remained alive. In the dwarf's eyes, Logan looked like a savior who brought him hope and a chance for a new future. The dwarf was ready to do anything Logan asked, feeling deep gratitude for the opportunity. His eyes filled with tears of joy that flowed down his cheeks, symbolizing the importance of this moment in his life. With deep respect, the dwarf bowed low before Logan, expressing his words of thanks for his trust and promise. The contract was enough to restore the dwarf's lost motivation. Watching the dwarf wipe away his tears, Logan understood the depth of his feelings and his readiness for the challenges ahead. Logan realizes that thanks to the dwarf's abilities, he will be able to obtain the best weapons and other items that will help him achieve his goals. The dwarf, as a master of his craft, will play a key role in the creation of unique weapons. The beautiful weather outside, the sun breaking through the clouds, creates an atmosphere of peace and hope, despite the hidden challenges that lie ahead. Unknown to Logan, rumors of his erratic behavior had already spread throughout his father's estate. In his absence, Logan's reputation suffered, sinking to a critical low. A year full of confusion and misunderstanding of the situation, full of despair, trying to find a way to correct the situation and regain its position. Back home, Logan is met with a joyous greeting from Rick, who is glad to see him again despite all the ordeal. Leading his team forward, Logan asks Rick how he's doing, showing his concern and interest in his friend's well-being. Rick can't hide his emotions. His face reveals a complex mixture of joy with hints of sarcasm, to which Logan replies that he's glad to see his smile, keeping the tone of the conversation light. Rick rushes to share the rumors about him with Logan, which leaves Logan with mixed emotions and making him think about his reputation and actions. A few days ago, Philip stood before the people telling something important that could have a significant impact on the events unfolding. The audience is shocked by Philip's offer to buy the monster's meat, which may indicate the dangerous or revolutionary ideas he is proposing to the public. Philip reveals the secret to the people, saying that the potential buyer of the monster's meat is Logan McLean himself, which causes even more surprise among those present. Immediately after this, Philip begins to tell the people about Logan, trying to present him in a negative light, describing him as a very terrible person. Philip, surprised by the people's reaction to his words, watches them with a cold gaze, assessing the impact of his words. Despite his inner doubts, Philip decides not to miss this opportunity and offers people 1 gold for a kilogram of monster meat, which becomes a real shock for those present. Philip manages to ignite enthusiasm among the people and motivate them to collect all the meat of the monster. Standing in front of the people on the stage, he sees people cheering energetically and raising their fists in the air, shouting, "We will do it!" Rick shares with Logan the news of Philip's deal with the people, which at first glance makes Logan happy. However, Rick notes that this is no laughing matter, hinting at the potential consequences. He urges Logan to reflect on the effect of Philip's deal on his own reputation, noting the widespread rumors and general discontent among the people. The most disturbing news is that the head of the family, Logan's father, is feeling very angry, perhaps disappointed by his son's actions or decisions. The scene transitions to a serious conversation between Logan and his father, which may determine the future relationship in their family and the decision about Logan's future. In front of his father, Logan stands confidently, arguing that his travels and actions have been beneficial, trying to convince him of the correctness of his choices. Word of Logan's actions reached his father, who, despite everything, was glad to know that Logan had a good time. This indicates mixed feelings about the son's actions. Logan emphasizes that all these stories are just hearsay and that he does not regret his actions. His confidence and calm underline his commitment to his own convictions. The stepmother, standing nearby and listening to the conversation, cannot hide the sly smile on her face, which hints at her own interests and possible desire to use the situation to her advantage. After some time, the stepmother reminds the father that Logan allegedly does not understand his place in the family, directing the conversation to criticize his behavior. Logan, standing by, dismisses her words as unnecessary and declares that he has not spent any money, emphasizing his responsibility and independence. The stepmother, outraged by Logan's reaction, becomes even angrier and demands that he repeat his words, her gaze radiating anger. She continues to complain to her father about Logan, prompting him to slam his hand on the table, exclaiming that he has had enough of the complaints. This reaction of the father deeply affects the stepmother. He begins to shout loudly, declaring that he has had enough of this nonsense talk. Turning to his stepmother, he says he wants to talk to Logan alone, leaving her in a state of fear and surprise at his determination. The father intends to give a final warning, perhaps indicating a critical moment in the resolution of the family conflict. In front of his father, Logan stands waiting, filled with tension and hope for understanding, ready for any decision. Alone in the room, the father turns to Logan with a penetrating question about the reasons for the changes in his behavior, seeking to find out the root of the problem. The father approaches the window, creating a moment for serious conversation, addressing his questions directly to Logan, indicating his desire to focus on the matter at hand. Logan realizes that his father won't let him go without full answers, feeling the weight of the moment and the importance of their conversation. The main question that worries the father is how others look at Logan and what his reputation is now, emphasizing the father's concern about his son's image in society. The father, concerned, tells Logan about the general opinion of people who consider him cruel, mean, obsessed with money, and recently even heartless. Clenching his fists from the emotional pressure, he asks how long he will have to defend his son against these accusations. The father mentions the need to apologize to Logan's late mother for the direction their son's life has taken. Words of apology make Logan fall silent and lower his head. Logan is shocked that his father mentions his mother, as if she blames him for all the problems, which was a surprise for him because in the past he was even kicked out of the house, but such accusations were not heard. Despite the harsh words, the father may still have hope for Logan, the belief that his son can change and live up to expectations. Logan, taking a deep breath, puts his hand on his heart, ready to express his key request to his father, to give him 1 more year. He promises that during this time the father will understand the reasons for his actions. The father studies Logan with an iron gaze that carries the weight of decision, reflection, and a possible test of trust. After finishing his speech, Logan exits the room, leaving the door closed behind him, a symbol of the moment's separation from the rest of the world. The father remains alone in the room, sitting at the table in deep thought, rethinking his son's words and the future of their relationship. The echo of their conversation does not leave his father. He continues to think about what he heard, thinking about the opportunities that open before Logan and the challenges that may accompany them. In his father's hands is a locket with a photo of Logan's late mother. As he ponders the future, he realizes that if Logan doesn't keep his word in a year, he will have a big decision to make as head of house. He carefully opens the locket, reminiscing, and admits his role as the head of the house and father, responsible for the fate of his family. Turning to a photo of Logan's mother, the father says, "Ryan, I'm sorry, I don't know what he's up to," apologizing to her for not being sure about decisions involving their son. Lowering his head, the father understands the depth of his promise to protect his offspring at any cost and to raise Logan into a decent person. Left alone, he spends time in thought, pondering his family's past, present actions, and future, searching for the best path for everyone. Ranyan, Logan's younger brother, stands with a ball of fire in his hands pressed to his chest, demonstrating the awakening of his power. This moment is significant both for him and for the whole family. Logan walks up to him, puts a hand on his shoulder, and offers words of support and admiration. "You're only 14, and you've already awakened the power," says Logan, impressed by his brother's abilities. Ranyan says that the awakening of his power occurred during a conflict with the Knights who tried to prevent a meeting between him and Logan. This case became a test for Ranyan, which he successfully passed. Logan shifts his gaze to the Knights, reflecting on the aftermath of the conflict and the impact of this event on Ranyan's future. The Knights stand as if dazed, their clothes dirty and scorched from the energy Ranyan released. This image testifies to the child's unexpected strength and his ability to protect himself. Ranyan manages to effectively break through the two Knights' defenses using his newfound strength, a testament to his great potential. Logan continues to express his admiration for his younger brother, lightly tapping him on the shoulder as a sign of support and pride for his achievement. The kid is filled with joy at Logan's words, realizing that with his brother's support, he will be able to become much stronger than he once was in his past life. The scene switches to a castle in the south of the barony, introducing a new element to the narrative and expanding the geography of events. We're presented with Dwayne, who suddenly hears the phrase, "I'm back," hinting at an important character returning, perhaps with new intentions or challenges for the residents of the barony. Logan, along with his new ally Dwayne, are standing by when Dwayne turns to Logan and notices the assembled army. Dwayne managed to recruit 350 mid-ranking mercenaries, a significant boost to his forces. Rumors begin to spread among the assembled mercenaries that Logan may be deceiving them, causing resentment and suspicion. Logan, realizing that tension is growing among the mercenaries, decides to restore order and prove that control over the situation is necessary for their cooperation. Facing a gathering of mercenaries, Logan approaches the largest of them and says, "Go," using his authority and leadership qualities to calm them down and establish his leadership. Logan finds himself in a situation where he learns of a mercenary's comment that he thinks his appearance in armor and sword is ridiculous, questioning his fighting ability. Outraged by such disrespect for his person, Logan decides to challenge the ridiculous mercenary to a duel to prove his superiority and restore his reputation. The mercenary who challenged Logan looks confident. He's big, with a bald head and a black beard that gives him a stern look. "Did you call me Oscar?" Logan asks, addressing the mercenary directly, and asks him to step in front of the crowd, preparing for a direct confrontation. The crowd of mercenaries, as well as Oscar, are surprised by Logan's determination to accept the challenge and speak out against the insult. This event attracts the attention of everyone present, raising the stakes of the conflict. Logan challenges his opponent by asking him to hit himself at least once, showing not only his courage but also his tactical approach to the duel. Oscar looks like a real demon against Logan, towering over him by two heads and having much more body mass, which creates the appearance of an unequal fight. The observers gathered around are convinced of the absolute superiority of Oscar over Logan, anticipating a quick and unequivocal victory of the giant. Logan, studying his opponent, sees the confidence in his eyes that speaks of his experience and skill in combat. However, completely unexpected for everyone, Oscar suggests that Logan make the first move, shifting the initiative and temporary advantage to Logan's side. Logan and his formidable rival Oscar face each other, preparing for a decisive duel. The atmosphere is tense and all expectations are focused on this confrontation. Suddenly, Logan's fist found its target, right in Oscar's face, showing impressive speed and accuracy. The effect of the blow was so strong that Oscar, despite his huge physique, ends up on the floor, which becomes a complete surprise for everyone present. Observers who initially doubted Logan's abilities and treated the duel as an inevitable defeat for him were deeply impressed by the result. Their surprise quickly turns to indignation, not believing what they saw. Logan, unfazed by his success, simply straightens his shoulder, displaying calmness and confidence. This gesture reflects his coolness and skill in battle, as well as his unwavering belief in his own strength. After the fight, Logan closes his eyes and exhales deeply, calming his emotions and letting go of the post-duel adrenaline rush. This moment shows his inner strength and control over the situation. The aura on his hand is still smoldering, testifying to the inexhaustible energy and power that is concentrated in it. Turning to the crowd, Logan asks if there is anyone else willing to challenge him to a fight, showing his willingness to stand up for his honor and reputation.